In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. You finally made it to the end of the week. Thank God it is Friday, so you might as well hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you're going to do one thing this Friday, make it be that one thing. Subscribe to this channel. Help us get to 20,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. Lots to talk about today. Trump crying. I just got done listening to about as much of Donald Trump as I could possibly handle as he bitches and whines and complains and pulls his best Roy Cohn impression as he tries to hand and turn this kind of SCOTUS decision, the SCOTUS loss that he's just been handed down, into a win. Right? He's trying to spin this into some sort of victory, like it somehow gives him more power and more rights. It's insane. So I don't know. We won't dive into too much into it, but I'm sure you guys are watching a little bit of him trying to put some pressure on SCOTUS as, again, they hand down the 6-3 ruling against his tariffs. Obviously, we'll be diving into a little bit of the coverage about that. We'll be talking about the DOJ deleting files directly associated with Donald Trump and credible accusers of sexual crimes for Donald Trump. So that's another thing that we have to be diving into. And then, obviously, the Republican and neocon warmongers are drooling and frothing at the mouth over possible war with Iran. They can't wait. They can't contain themselves. They are so excited. It's almost too much for them to contain. So we'll be diving into a lot of those stories and more. So what do you say you hit that like button on the way in? What's going on, guys? Let me see if I can bring in the old Chatsky here, the best chat on YouTube, the best chat on the internet. The Bryantologist. What's going on, guys? How are you? What's up, Tina? What's up, Nola? What's going on, Jay? What's up, Dame? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Kathleen? Hi, Karen. How are you? Shout out to the mods and happy birthday to Mark P., my brother from another mother. 21, I think he is today. I think he's going to have his first legal alcoholic beverage today. So everybody congratulate and support Mark there in the chat. Wishing him a happy birthday. We do appreciate all of the mods and all of the assistance and all of the help and all of the support that they bring to this channel. So again, we always want to make sure that we celebrate and highlight all of their achievements, activities, birthdays, celebrations, whatever it may be. So we just had Tiff the other day celebrating a birthday. We got Mark today, Karen the other day. We got a lot of February birthdays. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And everybody wish happy birthday to Mark once again. What's up, John from Vegas? What's up, my brother? What's going on, Yakov? Appreciate you. Thank you for starting off in the right way with the $2. Thank you, Deb, as well. Blunt Politics, #1 pod in the world, in my opinion. God, I wish a lot more people had that opinion, Yakov. That would be fantastic. We're trying to spread the word and share the wealth here, Yakov. You do a lot of that, and I do appreciate all your help and assistance and support. I really do. So don't think it goes unnoticed out there. And Deb, thank you so much already. Deb out there throwing another 5 in. Let me see if I can find you. I know I saw it in there. There you are, Deb. I got put on timeout on agenda-free TV because of his lunacy about the tariffs. Maybe I did need a timeout. I am revolted by him. Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it's everything he says is right in line with the Roy Cohn defense. I mean, if anybody's watched any documentaries, if anybody's read up, or I think there's a 60 Minutes actually going around in older, I think in 80s, 60 Minutes where they kind of detailed Roy Cohn. It's the same thing. It's take every loss, whether it's a court case, whether it's against the federal government, whether it's against the state, whether it's against local municipalities, and just spin it into a victory. Make it seem like you won. Don't admit defeat. And then it confuses people to a point where, it almost makes it so they don't want to talk about it, because every time they do talk about it with you, you make it seem like you won and it gives you more power. right? Which is the exact same thing he's doing here with the tariffs, right? He's been ruled against 6-3 by the Supreme Court, and now he's coming out and let me just throw this on the screen. I appreciate the chat once again. Let me just take you guys off here. I'll throw this on because I've been awaiting his kind of Truth Social post that you knew was coming. I figured he'd put one out there before he did his press conference, which he did. Let me throw this up there, which was this one right here. Let me see here. I believe it was, this bullshit right here. So basically, he goes on to say, to show you how ridiculous the opinion is, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge $1, yada, yada, yada. But basically, the important part and what he really wants to get across is here, where he goes to thank Justice Kavanaugh for his dissenting opinion. And then he says, in actuality, while I'm sure they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and crystal clear, rather than in the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision, right? So he's trying to now. Can you guys see this? Why is the highlight not working? Oh, there it is. All right, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you guys could see this because he's trying to again spin this into a victory right here, as you can see. In actuality, why I'm sure they did not mean to do so, right? Trying to completely spin around this decision. The Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and crystal clear rather than less. Right. So it is the clear-cut Roy Cohn defense come out and just totally spin this in a way that is nobody's talking about. Right. Use the dissenting opinions that, again, lost on the decision and take those and talk about it as if they give you some sort of victory in this. Right. So, again, he's freaking out, not only on Truth Social, but like I just said, I don't know if he's still yapping right now. I don't know if this is live. Let me see if he must have finished. A couple minutes ago, but he was on kind of spewing the same bullshit. Oh, Colleen, holy sugar pie, honey bunch. Thank you so much. Every day you are alive in this insanity is a birthday or a celebration. Very well put, Colleen. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that contribution. That is amazing. Shout out to you. Huge contribution to the channel. Thank you for the 50. That's amazing. We'll throw that right in the old bank to go towards, future endeavors, more equipment, better broadcasting in general. So I very much appreciate that, Colleen. Thank you so much for that generosity. Please make sure that the chat is reaching out to Colleen and thanking her for her kindness. Thank you to Peter as well. A clear unconstitutional move on DJT's part. Only got 6 of 9 SCOTUS votes. Seems like a continued problem. And as he says here, and you're 100% right, Peter. You're 100% right. But it doesn't really matter, as you can see. I mean, it doesn't matter what the ruling was, what the dissenting opinions were on this. Like, he was going to spin this no matter what, as if it was going to give him more power. No matter what, he was trying to come out of this with more power and the ability to continue to impose tariffs at will against allies, against trade partners, right? So didn't he just give $12 billion out of the tariff fund to the farmers? So what happens to that now? Because of the policies that he originally put in place and the hurt that it was putting on the farmers in this country, he decided to take $12 billion out of this so-called fund that he has going here and give it to the farmers. Well, now it's just been ruled that that's unconstitutional and illegal. And again, he's making this big stink about how they didn't write or decide what was supposed to happen to the money afterwards. Well, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of companies and a lot of countries out there asking for some refunds. I'm sure there's going to be some litigation involved when it comes to this. So we'll see what tracks as far as that is and as far as that's to come. I'm not sure who is next to decide on what exactly happens to, again, whatever amount we have taken in. Donald Trump loves to say it's hundreds of trillions and gazillions of dollars. Meanwhile, the White House comes out with a totally different number. Meanwhile, what's reported on in actuality is totally different than the reporting of the White House and Donald Trump. So in this point, nobody really knows what the hell is going on. But I'd like to see, and I'd like to know who actually, obviously Congress, right? The power of taxing, resides in the hands of Congress, which is exactly why this is a pretty clear-cut instance of why he lost in this decision. Like a tariff is a tax. A tariff is basically a sales tax imposed, right? Therefore, the president must go to Congress, where Congress has the power to impose the taxes. It's pretty self-explanatory bullshit that you would have learned if you watched Schoolhouse Rock back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? For Christ's sakes, you go ask I'm just the bill dude still sitting on the steps of Capitol Hill. He'll tell you what the hell is supposed to go on in this decision and who has the power to tax, and what powers the president has and doesn't have in this position. It's not that difficult, you know what I mean? And like, there's a couple funny parts in this too. Let me see, because Trump at the end of this, I don't know if I'll catch it at the end here, but he was asked kind of what he thought about it. And did I put it over here? Let me see. There was one funny part where he said, he was asked, you said you were disappointed in the ruling, and he goes on to talk about how he's very good at reading paragraphs. Let me see if I can just find it real quick, because it's pretty funny.
And I met with Bill Ford, the head of 42.
Let me
Where,
second.
by the
It was
way,
at the end when he was taking questions.
I might add this.
Was it right here?
You were disappointed.
Yeah, it was right here. Let me throw it's on the screen for you guys. I'll make it a little bigger. This is about a minute and a half, but he's asked by a reporter, which sounds like she's Russian, in my opinion, what he thought about the opinion and why he was disappointed. And he goes on to describe how he's very well read and how he's good at reading paragraphs. Listen to this bullshit.
With that, but were you surprised with this decision? What you felt when you?
I was surprised because I thought that what we did was, number one, according to, I read the paragraphs. I read very well. Great comprehension.
Great comprehension. He reads the paragraphs really well, which again, you'll hear come out of the mouths of any proficient reader. Anybody that's, intelligent, anybody that's literate, anybody that's, really, well informed and educated, typically all the time you'll hear them saying how good they are at reading paragraphs. It's just, you can't all the time when you're around academics, right? And you're in the field of academia, anytime you're around Harvard, that's all they can keep. They just cannot stop saying how good they are at understanding and reading paragraphs. They are just, their comprehension of paragraphs is elite. Holy shit. It's fucking too much at this point. You know what I mean? It really is too much at this point. It's just like, we've been calling it out for so long. And at this point, it's so normalized that like everybody kind of forgets about it. They don't really, they don't recognize these kind of small things, and like how a normal, intelligent person with a brain in their head wouldn't speak like this, doesn't speak like this, like not speaking in full sentences, mixing up and jumbling words. Like, I'm human. I understand. You guys watch this all the time. You've called me out many a times on the mistakes that I make, the flubs, the fumbles. I don't care. That's fine. I'm a human being, and it's going to happen. But I don't go out there and say I'm the best speaker on the planet, right? I don't say I'm the smartest, or, I know the most on a certain subject, or nobody speaks better than me, right? So again, I'm not out there touting myself as being the best in any or most proficient speaker or anything like that. You can probably tell from the accent. So again, I don't know. I shouldn't be held to the same standards, again, as the president of the United States and somebody claiming to be the most proficient, the most brilliant, the most intelligent person that this planet has ever seen. But these instances here of which just the small things of, yep, I read paragraphs well. Like, I'm a good at reading paragraphs. Okay. Sure you are.
I read everything there is to read, and I said, we can't lose this case.
Right. He read everything there was to read on all of this, which, again, how many people honestly believe that? He actually started off this press conference, right? I'm pretty sure this entire thing was just him reading a statement of things that he's never understood, he's never been told about. Let me see if I can find the beginning of this real quick. Because listen to this nonsense. He's reading a pre-prepared statement by somebody else, obviously, and he's never, ever even been he's never even seen these words written down on a piece of paper before. And he's trying to act like, oh, he's read all of these files. He knows all of the case study. Listen to this. Listen.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no.
Again, we don't have to go into too much of that, but he goes into citing some case law, some studies and some fucking rules and regulations and putting the numbers next to them. And he has no fucking idea what he's citing. He doesn't know the numbers and rules and regulations, anything that he's talking about in this instance. But he goes on to be like, you know what? Yep, I read all of those. I knew all of these. I'm proficient in all of this. I do read paragraphs really, really well. So again, Donald Trump handed a big loss in this instance, as you'll hear here. We'll go into a couple of these stories, but this is what I wanted to dive into first. I kind of fucked up, but that's okay. I wanted to start off with a laugh. Let me throw this back on the screen because we've been talking a lot here, and a lot of people have been bringing this up. I don't want to say like we're the only ones talking about it, obviously, but a lot of people have been bringing up the distractions, right? Like what Donald Trump will, like the lengths he will go to distract people from, the Epstein files or the economy that he's fucking, that he's totally trashed, or, any of the negative aspects of his administration, which there are numerous amounts, but this shows just how far he's willing to go, because this is, he put this the other day, right? Oh no, excuse me. When was this? Yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Based on tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. Oh, Jesus. You know what I mean? And I understand, I don't know if this was stirred up and spurred on by like Obama's appearance on Brian Tyler Cohen's podcast, in which I think he referenced the fact that aliens do exist. I'm not sure. I kind of saw it in passing reference. I didn't see the clip myself, but I think that's kind of what people are referencing. So I don't know if he's trying to like hop on the back of that to add to the distraction, but I did find it funny because Midas Touch found this and posted this. Let me throw this on the screen. Seth Meyers, more than 6 months ago, said that we're just one Epstein story away from Trump announcing that UFOs are real, right? Late night host discusses Trump's attempts to distract his relationship with Epstein as more evidence emerges. So it's like he literally called it and was spot on in this instance, because now Trump is literally doing that exact thing, right? He's now going to be talking about aliens and UFOs. Unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and all information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Hey, Brian, are you on Twitch or YouTube? I am on both. You can watch me on both Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, in case anybody's wondering. It's going to be Boston_Brian_live on Twitch. And obviously, if you're watching here on YouTube, you've already found me. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. In case you're trying to find me on other platforms. But yeah, I thought we'd get a quick laugh out of that where Donald Trump, and again, as everybody tries to bring up the distraction attempts and the lengths that he's willing to go to get anybody to talk about literally anything and everything other than the Epstein files, other than the state of our economy, other than the state of the world at large right now. So again, the Epstein, the war in Iran, the Epstein, excuse me, I keep going back to the Epstein files, but the UFOs, the aliens, I mean, he's going to be trying to do anything and everything to distract people, especially as more and more information comes up and more people are, finding and seeing accountability. We talked about yesterday, obviously, the Prince Andrew, or formerly known as Prince Andrew, being arrested and taken into custody for, again, people were reading into, what was the charge again? It was like misconduct at work or something like that, something very vague, that kind of hopefully was just the entry level type of charge, right, to kind of get their foot in the door and get the investigation rolling, get the go in and get the searches and seizures done so they could get access to his different properties, computers, whatever it may be, right? So we're kind of hoping that that's just kind of a weird way to word the fact that he was in the Epstein files and committed crimes while he was working for, the government. But, that remains to be seen. I think he was released. But the picture, holy shit. Do you guys see the picture? Let me see here. Let's see. I'm sure a bunch of you have already seen this one, but we showed it on the show. But boy, oh boy, does nothing say and nothing really kind of encapsulate the moment right now more than this fucking picture. I mean, look, Jesus Christ, right? And I hope that's the look on every single one of their faces, right? I hope that is the look on every single one of their faces when they get arrested. Hold on, let me go back to the beginning because I don't care about the video. I don't want the video to play. I just want the picture at the beginning. Where is it? There he is. There he is, the psycho. Look at that. Look at that. That's the face I want every single one of these sick motherfuckers to make when they get arrested, right? When they're walked in front of cameras, when they got the iron handcuffs on, and that every media company and corporation known to the fucking planet Earth is covering them, taking pictures. I hope that's the look right there on every single one of their faces. Like, oh shit, it's real now, motherfucker, right? It is real now, baby. And this is only the beginning, right? This is only the beginning. This is just the start This is just the start, and I'm kind of going out of order. We'll dive back into kind of the tariff aspect, but there was this video that we'll be looking at in a little bit of the 17 high-profile elites punished for the Epstein files, right? So this was, I think, a day or two ago. Some of them we've already heard and known about, but this is a little bit more about how they're, starting to pay the price for the public pressure, for the investigations, the resignations, and all the things that have started to happen since the information has come out, leaking the names and associations of all these fucking, decrepit human beings. So we'll be diving in. That's from Law and Crime. I'm kind of jaded. Like I got a little gun shy here on like what videos I can show, since yesterday my stream was blatantly taken down off of YouTube and Facebook. When I was clearly within my rights under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act, which deals with the fair use of entertainment and content. I changed the content. I added commentary. I was not monetizing the content. It was not only relevant but historically accurate, and definitely had dealings to do with today's politics. It was for educational purposes. So I think it's complete horseshit that, I wasn't allowed to. And, I didn't get a copyright strike because I wasn't monetizing anyway. But on Facebook, they are trying to make me take down some of the clips that I use, which I think is complete horseshit, considering the times that we face. And again, the moment that we need to meet at this point. And again, how history and the information that we could learn from that can directly help and benefit societies going forward, so we don't make the same mistakes, so we can recognize all of the mistakes that we made in the past, and all of the propaganda and the tactics that were used to sway an entire population into going behind and getting behind and staying silent while the Holocaust took place right next door. Right. So again, we're trying to avoid that at all fucking cost. And I just think that, it would be very prudent upon these different social media sites to allow people to speak about these things, considering they're posted to your fucking platforms anyway. You know what I mean? All right, let's dive into a little bit more of the tariff talk here. This is just kind of an update here from CBS going over the ruling, talking about Trump's response here and what it means going forward. But I just want to make sure that we're covering it from all angles. We got a few clips, we got a few clips that we could dive into here. So I don't know if you guys want to do the CBS. We got CNN you could look at. What's this one? This one is an ABC special news report, all dealing with the same thing. So why don't we dive into, we'll just do the CNN one. I'm kind of sick of the ABCs and the NBCs. I'm sick of the CNNs anyway. But again, let's just see if we can get our head wrapped around the ruling, who made what ruling, who ruled what way. Just get a little bit more up to date and informed. So let's go. Hit that like button too. I appreciate you guys.
This is one of the most significant cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump's use of these emergency tariffs that he has implemented are illegal. It's the most significant economic case to reach the high court in years, sweeping implications for the economy and, of course, for presidential power. And at stake here are billions of dollars in revenue that have already been collected by the government. Pamela Wolf, the other significance here is that this is the first time that the 6-3 conservative court has ruled against President Trump.
Again, does anybody know, like, what is the next step in trying to figure out what does happen with the funds, with the money, with the $12 billion that was given to the farmers, with whatever that has been taken in? Like, what is the next? Does anybody kind of know the governmental process, the governmental steps in kind of who will decide or how that goes? I mean, is it basically just the country kind of put in an order and, for refund, that type of thing? Let me know in the chat if anybody kind of knows the answer to that, or if it's, going to go to litigation, courts, that type of thing. I'm not sure. So let me know.
Cases that have gone before the court since he returned to power in January. Now, we are still going through this case, but this is something we have been waiting for. The court said that it would take up this case on an expedited basis. So they're deciding, even though it's a significant case now, because of course this has enormous implications. So as we go through this opinion now with our team, another outstanding question is what now happens to all that revenue that had been collected. This is something that it really wasn't clear from the arguments what they would say about that, if they're going to lay out a plan. So we will continue to go through this, but this is an enormous decision and a rare loss for President Trump before this conservative court.
This is, Paula, a major slap at the president of the United States, who has made a major effort over these many, many months to impose all of these tariffs.
I mean, just think of how detrimental this is, too. Just think of what a big deal and how much of his platform has been wrapped up and taken over by tariffs. And again, this lie that he's taken in hundreds and trillions and gazillions of dollars, and that basically your life right now as an American can't possibly get any better. Like the money in your bank account, that's the most you'll ever have. The job that you have right now, that's the best job you'll ever have. The place that you are in your life, that's the best you'll ever be, according to Donald Trump. He said that, basically the American population should be patting him on the back because we've never done better. We are the hottest country in the world, and that it couldn't possibly get any better. And I want to know if that's reflected in your lives, which I already know the answer of that. That's a question that doesn't need to be answered on that regard. But again, it's ridiculous for him to come out and try to spin this as a victory. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Newsmax. It doesn't matter if it's OAN. And actually, I think I do have Napolitano here. Right. Yep, I do. Because this is actually a Newsmax clip from Napolitano where basically he's saying this is a pretty straightforward ruling. You know what I mean? It's a tax. Congress kind of has the rights over the taxes in this instance. So there's not too much discussion that needs to be had. And that's coming from Napolitano, who is an active, Trump acolyte, is more than happy and more than willing to do the bidding of Donald Trump, especially on Newsmax. And that's even him saying it. You know what I mean? So again, let me see if I can, what's kind of bleeping in and out? I'm not sure. Let me see if I can put this back on the screen because I want to go into this a little bit too. What they say here. What is blanking out here? Let me share this. There we go.
And just to look at some of the background I have here, over these many months, the administration has collected $150 billion in these tariffs. So what happens to that money? Do they have to refund that money to the firms, to the people who paid for those tariffs?
That's one of the big questions that came up at arguments, and it's something that we're looking through now in this opinion. The top line is that these are illegal.
So it doesn't seem like anybody has an answer to that yet. Doesn't that seem a bit strange that we don't know what happens to the money at this point?
Cannot rely on this 1977 emergency law to impose tariffs without authorization from Congress, because this question is really about the extent of presidential power. And we know in both his terms in office, President Trump has really worked at the edges of what has largely been recognized as executive authority. But
again, that's putting it fucking really mildly there, CNN. Don't fucking, don't break an arm trying to pat yourself on the back doing Donald Trump's bidding here and trying to give him, a little leeway so he doesn't get too mad with the network. Jesus Christ. He literally sent a whole fucking storm of people to the Capitol to try to stop the certification of a free and fair election, which ended up in the deaths of Americans, which ended up in the deaths of police officers, which ended up with a noose and a gallows built in front of the goddamn Capitol. I mean, I think it's, again, to put that fucking mildly, right, CNN? But again, let's go on to, I think I wanted to show this because we don't have to go through all of those clips. They pretty much just go over the same thing there. But this is where, again, even Napolitano here on Newsmax has a pretty clear-cut answer and a pretty clear-cut view of why the case went the way that it went, right? And not in Donald Trump's favor. So let me throw this on the screen. I just want to play. I think it's in the first minute, a minute two in this anyway.
Congress did not give President Trump authority.
Yeah, let me start from the beginning. It might help. That might help too.
And joining us now, no one better than Judge Andrew Napolitano, Newsmax senior judicial analyst. Judge, we appreciate your joining us so quickly on set to talk about this monumental decision. Take it away.
Well, we thought it would probably go this way just from the and good morning, guys. Good morning.
So the first thing out of his mouth, well, this is kind of how we thought it was going to go, right? I mean, only Donald Trump and his idiot minions behind him and people trying to, again, do an end run around the power of Congress actually thought they had a chance to win this case. The people that, are kind of more, down here on the Earth's level, so to speak, kind of realized and recognized that we had no chance in this and that we were going to lose this, regardless of what Donald Trump was out there saying to the American people. I mean, it's pretty clear that a tariff is a tax and that the taxing power lies with Congress. That's basically the gist of it. You don't have to get too deep into the weeds. You don't have to fucking see the forest through the trees on this one. You don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar. You don't have to be a constitutionalist. You don't have to fucking have gone to, college for civics. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have done any of that. It's pretty clear cut in this case why they ruled the way they ruled and why the people that dissented, because it still keeps them in favor with the big guy, knowing that he was going to lose. So they might as well vote in favor of him to give him a little credit, right? So that's exactly why you heard Donald Trump, if you listen to his speech this morning or his little press conference this morning, was so happy and enthralled and proud of, Kavanaugh for his dissenting opinion, in which he read about 14 fucking times because he still didn't understand what it meant. Right? Something about this actually gave him more power. Again, it was the Roy Cohn defense of this whole thing. We lost, but let's say we won. We lost. They told us we don't have the power to do so. So let's go out there and in front of cameras tell the American people that they gave us more power. They shouldn't have done this. The way that they ruled actually gives me more power somehow, which is exactly what he tried to get through in his press conference. But this is pretty clear cut to even the lowest of the low here, the bottom of the barrel on Newsmax.
Nice
Pleasure
to
to be with you.
Listen.
I was in another part of the building when this came down, but happy to be part of the team at a moment like this. The oral argument seemed to indicate that President Trump needed the permission of Congress in order to enact tariffs, and that is indeed what the court ruled. Pretty basic.
Pretty fucking basic. Right? I mean, not hard to comprehend, not something that took a lot of case study, right? Not something that Donald Trump had to sift through and read a bunch of paragraphs because he's so good at reading paragraphs, right? Pretty clear cut to anybody. And I mean, I know we've been explaining, I understand, Chad, you've been out there fighting in the trenches, trying to explain to these morons what what a tariff actually is and who inevitably pays those tariffs at the end of the day. I know you guys have been doing great work and they just don't listen. They just don't comprehend. They just don't want to. But again, it's not really that difficult if they did actually sit down and take a look at what was going on and the understanding of how our government processes work. The decision would have been clear, right? The decision would have been pretty clear. The way that, Napolitano, even on Newsmax, is saying here, like, this isn't like you don't have to really spin your head around a bunch of times to figure out why this ruling went the way it did.
First authority given to Congress in the Constitution is the power to tax, and it's only given to Congress. And what is a tariff?
Easy. One more time for the maggots in the back that may not be chatting, that you may not be able to see, but are guaranteed watching this right now. Guaranteed somebody somewhere right now that voted for Donald Trump 3 times is watching this and is confused beyond fucking recognition as to why the Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump. Well, here you go, my friend. Here you go. Here's Judge Napolitano on fucking Newsmax. I'm sure you're very familiar with Newsmax, you maggots, giving you the ones and the twos on how you can go about understanding this.
To enact tariffs, and that is indeed in a moment. Should have been with you. I was in another part of the building when this came down, but happy to be part of the team at a moment like this. The oral argument seemed to indicate that President Trump needed the permission of Congress in order to enact tariffs, and that is indeed what the court ruled. Pretty basic. The first authority given to Congress in the Constitution is the power to tax, and it's only given to Congress. And what is a tariff? It's a sales tax. It may be beneficial to.
Hey, is that fucking difficult? Is that honestly? Did we get that? Everybody in the back, right? Did the maggots? Did you take your earmuffs off so you could pay attention to that one? The power to tax lies with Congress. A tariff, thus sales tax, can only be with Congress. It's not that fucking difficult. And again, it's surprising to hear it said it this kind of plainly and clearly on Newsmax. But again, somebody that knows the law, like this guy claims to do, it's really pretty simple for him to go out there. And he'd look like an idiot trying to kind of, put a spin on this or defend this in any way. But Donald Trump doesn't really have that to think about. So that's exactly why he went out there to do what he did, right? Which is exactly the Roy Cohn defense. Let's go out there and let's just say they gave us more power. Let's say that we're going to start implementing more tariffs. Like now, we're more out of control now. That's what Donald Trump's saying. This ruling has made our government more out of control. Like we're more unstable. We can do pretty much anything we want now. And that's what he wants to get across. All right, let's dive into a little bit of like some of the repercussions that people are seeing as it pertains to the Epstein files. Because this is from Law and Crime, the sidebar with Jesse Weber. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. If it's Weber or Weber, I'm not sure. I apologize, my friend. But this is, again, 17 high-profile elites punished for Epstein files. And a few of these we kind of went over when we were talking about the the oversight Dems on Twitter and the list that they posted. But this gives us a little more detail into what has happened to the people, who they were affiliated with, kind of the, what was released out of the Epstein files. And we don't have to watch this whole thing, but I just want to go in and see if there's, a couple characters in here that may be newly added to the list. That we want to, again, give them their dues, give them their fucking highlight and spotlight so that everybody knows their, everybody knows their affiliation with the Epstein file. So again, allow me to dive into this for just a couple minutes. Hit that like button. Again, I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you for joining me. We were just covering, obviously, Trump's tariff loss in the SCOTUS decision, in which Donald Trump is not too happy about, but is again trying to spin to his favor in order to accrue more governmental power. All right, let's dive into this. Again, this is 17 high-profile elites that have been caught up and punished for their role in the Epstein files.
The fallout from the Epstein files for high-profile politicians, business leaders, royalty, the elites, has been quite...
Speed it up just to try to be safe. I don't know if that helps in some way. I've seen people post other videos, and if they speed it up or if they flip it around or if they stand on their fucking head, they don't get hit with a copyright. So I'm going to try everything I can. I don't know. I'm a little gun shy, like I said, about, strikes and getting sent off of the internet because this is my livelihood. And again, just goes to show, and just before we start into this, I don't want to make this into a spiel here, but the self-promotional aspect of this and how important it is for you guys to, again, if you find, it beneficial and informational and educational, or if it, helps you with, people in the chat, you find friends and it kills some time in your day to contribute to the channels, if possible. Again, if it's not remotely possible within your lifestyle, within your finances, then don't share, like, subscribe. All the free stuff goes just as far. But just think of how easily it would be if YouTube decided to take away all of the lefty creators, or to say you couldn't talk about the Epstein files, or whatever's happening on TikTok to lefty creators. Like, think of what would happen if all that was taken away, because we're rapidly kind of losing places to congregate. As people on the left here, we will run out of Twitter. Facebook is TikTok's an unusable platform. You know what I mean? If they're going to start taking us off of YouTube and these other places, then, we're starting to look like we're not going to have too many places to go. So that's why it's important that you guys continue to support, whether it's this podcast or live stream or others, Jesse Dollamore or whoever it may be. If you can, and it's in your finances, and you're not taking out of some other aspect of your life, and you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, send in a buck or two. It really goes a long way to help these other creators and other channels. And again, even if it's not here, I'm saying this for everybody. It's just, if you find importance and you find value in it, try to support it as much as you can, whether, again, that's liking, sharing, subscribing, sharing it out, just talking about it, whatever you can on your level. So I appreciate you guys, the mods, for sticking with me, and obviously the chat for all of your support and all of your help. So I want to make sure I get that out there. All right, let's go.
Tense. Resignations, ridicule, even criminal investigations. So it's time to break down who is now facing some serious heat. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, before we go any further, if you're putting things out on social media, if you're into content creation, you might be wondering, how do we get so many of our clips out there so quickly? We use something called Opus Clip, okay? This is an all-in-one AI editor. Clip/sidebar. You clip.
I'm just going to skip on past the old, all the ads.
There is fallout. After the release of millions and millions of pages of materials and videos and photographs, people have come under a lot of fire, and their careers, their reputations, they are taking a hit. And you even see criminal investigations happening right now. And that's interesting to think about, right? Because there have always been calls for accountability, calls for justice, calls for transparency. And you have to think that if there hadn't been calls to release the files and to keep this in the public spotlight, where you just had the DOJ and FBI's memo from last summer, where it basically said there's no client list, there's no other third parties, there's nothing really else there, would we even see what's happening right now? And I'm not justifying it. We'll talk about it at the end, whether or not it's justified. Was that going to be the end of the story? Clearly not. So I want to examine the fallout from the Epstein saga right now. I'm going to start with the criminal one. You got Norway's former prime minister, Torbjørn Jagland. He has been charged with aggravated corruption.
This is somebody that was on the oversight Dems list. We have spoken about him and his affiliations and associations and the files that he's related in as well.
After authorities looked into his connection to Jeffrey Epstein, the deceased financier. You see, according to the New York Times, this is serious. He could face up to 10 years in prison. And investigators say they are probing, quote, whether gifts, travel, and loans were received in connection with his position. And he
again, already facing up to 10 years in prison. And that's, not even talking about and involving the ongoing investigations that he'll go on to talk about, and whether or not he received, lavish benefits or gave out information, kind of similar to the Andrew investigation. How that's talked about as his misconduct while on public office or whatever the fuck they're trying to call it. Well, now the original fucking charge has already been in there, but now the investigations start opening. Now the doors are opening to different charges and different things as they learn more, as they uncover more, right? So again, this is just kind of the foot in the door process. And if 10 years right off the bat that this guy has to spend in a prison cell while other investigations go on to see what he did while he was in office or while he held power, and then more years can be added, more charges can be added, more trials can be had, fucking so be it. So be it. But get him in a cell as soon as fucking possible. I don't care if you got to get him on jaywalking, right? I don't care if they returned a fucking library book too late. Put him in fucking jail, do the investigation, spend the money, the time, and the resources to figure out what exactly happened and who was involved, and keep these motherfuckers behind bars. How about that? Sound good? Good.
This prime minister from 1996 to 1997, foreign minister and secretary general of the Council of Europe at one point. So investigators, they even searched his home, 2 other properties. I mean, this is big. Again, came out because of the release of these files. Now, he has denied all wrongdoing, but this is the first time in Norway since the end of World War II that a former prime minister has faced criminal charges. So what do the files say?
I mean, think of how big that is, right? And I don't know what the date is in England since the last time a member of the royal family was arrested. I think it was like the 16 to 1700s, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know in the chat if you guys know that date. But again, to have a former prime minister of a different nation arrested for the first time since the fucking, since World War II, we're talking about big things happening here. Things that you wouldn't normally see, things you're only seeing because of the release of the Epstein files, things that we should be seeing in this country to people that we're not seeing because of the incompetence, because of the laziness, because of the protection that the DOJ and the FBI is now affording to Donald Trump and his high-profile fucking buddies.
You got June 2012. Yaglan writes to Epstein.
That sounds right, actually, Ian. That sounds right. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's 1647 or there around that time was the last time in England a member of the royal family was arrested. I thought that was somewhere in the timeline that I heard. So I appreciate you. And thank you to everybody on Facebook. Sorry about yesterday, guys. I know I tried going back up several times yesterday, so I appreciate you for sticking with me. But again, I wasn't really sure. I didn't think it did. I never comprehended that I could be taken down for trying to inform the public and trying to go over something that's historically accurate and something that took place. Like we're just going over documentaries. So I apologize to everybody on Facebook. I know it was a pain in the ass for you guys yesterday. So I appreciate you joining me once again. And thank you, obviously, to everybody on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. You guys are amazing.
Hi, Jeffrey. I tried to call you the other day, knowing that you were in Paris. I would have loved to see you. Tara and I spoke about you when we were in Luxembourg, agreeing that you are a fabulous person, easy, and at the same time demanding to be together with. Tor Bern. By the way, that reference was to Terrod Larson. I might be mispronouncing the name. Former Norwegian politician. He's been accused of being Epstein associate as well. And I want you to remember something as we're going through these communications like 2012. This is after Jeffrey Epstein's conviction on Florida state charges of soliciting a minor for prostitution.
Again, the dates mean something too. And again, that doesn't totally absolve or abscond anybody from, guilt or association from prior to that, right? Obviously, because the crimes that he was convicted of in 2008 obviously happened prior to that. So that doesn't take you out of the realm of possibility of guilt just because, the dates before his conviction happened. But certainly the dates after the conviction mean fucking something, right? So anybody that affiliated with him, associated with him, texted with him, went to his island, talked to him in any way needs to be fucking looked at, needs to be investigated to the ends of the earth using all possible, funds that we have relevant to that, all of the technology and the data that we could possibly dig up and use in this instance, because those are the fucking people that definitely have no excuse, that definitely knew better, that definitely had all the information afforded to them to understand who this monster on your screen was, right? They knew, right? There's no fucking ifs, ands, or buts. There's no excuses. There's no part of this planet that you could have fucking lived on where you didn't hear some reference to what was going on in this case, okay? So a lot of these emails and a lot of these people, oh, we just kind of discussed this and that, and no, he was a partner and an ally. Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. Choke on your emails, you sons of bitches. because you fucking knew you're trying to rehab his image. You brought your fucking kids to his island after the fact. And that's fucking just as bad as anything else. Just as bad as anything else. You should be fucking shamed in society. You should never hold a position of power. If you were fucking dumb enough, if you were gullible enough, if you were corrupt enough to bring your fucking kids to this guy's island after he was convicted for child sex trafficking, after all of the fucking allegations and incidences came out, after the affiliations and all the high-profile clientele were listed, you're bringing your fucking kids and wife and nannies to his island like Howard Lutnick? Fuck you. How about that? How about that? You must be a fucking moron. You deserve to be nowhere near the hands of power. You shouldn't even have a fucking driver's license in this country if you're that stupid, right? Because you're either one of two things. You're either involved or you're fucking incompetent. There's no fucking middle. There's no way out of that besides those two fucking things. You either knew or you're too fucking stupid to know.
That is what elevates that. That is why you are seeing a lot of this fallout, is that you were in communication with somebody who pled guilty to that. And speaking of which, what about this one from 2012? Hi, Jeffrey. No, I haven't called yet. I have been in Tirana, Albania.
Again, afterwards, Friday, May 25th, 2012. Hey, Jeffrey. No, I haven't called yet. I've been in Albania. Extraordinary girls going to Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. Back on Thursday. And again, these are more instances in that will be obviously looked at by these further and ongoing investigations as to, you know, when he was in office, what he knew when he was in office, you know, what gifts he gave to other people or received himself, or what trips he took when Jeffrey Epstein was present. So again, this is only the beginning of this. And, you know, so we're hearing 10 years as possibility. I guarantee when all said and done, these motherfuckers are facing a lot more than that. And they should be, obviously. But again, just that if anybody hears the kind of short time frame at the beginning, don't take that as being the kind of the end result for these cocksuckers.
Marry Girls, 2013. By the way, Han and I have talked about coming back to somewhere in the Caribbean with my two sons during Easter, or I think it's Easter, to celebrate 60th birthday. I can't keep it going only with young women, as you know. September 14th.
Fucking Jesus.
2018. So this is the year before Jeffrey Epstein was ultimately arrested on child sex trafficking charges, the federal charges. You have an email from Epstein's assistant to Yaglанд. Subject, Jeffrey Epstein, apartment 2G.
So, and again, this is probably one of the reasons in which they're investigating, like, what he did, obviously, as prime minister, because this is from one of Jeffrey Epstein's kind of assistants that says, hello, Yaglанд. I want to confirm or reconfirm your apartment stay September 22nd to the 29th. You will have two apartments, 2G and 10B. The codes are 2G and 10B. The apartment address is 301 East 66th Street, the corner of 66th and 2nd Ave. Please let me know your approximate arrival and departure times on the 22nd and 29th. We will have a welcome letter for you with the doorman upon your arrival. Please do confirm and let me know if there's anything else we can do. So was he afforded stays? Did he give other people gifts? All of these things are going to be looked at, and all of these could lead to further charges and crimes and obviously longer sentences, right? So again, just for the sake of time, I know this is kind of a long video that details a bunch of these people, but let's see if we can go on here, because this is another one of the women that was involved here.
Epstein would introduce Yaglанд to his associates, including Catherine Rumler, the former White House counsel under President Barack Obama, who we're going to talk about a little bit more in a minute. And in exchange, he allegedly wanted Yagland to get him a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So there's a lot of notable exchanges, including where Epstein wrote this to Yagland. I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov can get insight on talking to me. So you can see, again, why this investigation is happening. Moving on, let's talk about Thomas Pritzker, who served as the chairman of Hyatt Hotels, held that position for 20 years. Problem for him? His communication with Epstein, again, after Epstein's conviction. Got this one from Pritzker to Epstein. I'm in a remote valley of Afghanistan. It's my birthday wish with boys with toys. Spend time with Petraeus, seemingly General Petraeus, yesterday, and he loaned me a chopper, actually two, with one as backup. April 2018.
Again, that's the bad look for the U.S. military and a bad look for Petraeus. I got to say right there. I got to say, right? Just loaning out choppers to these people. Like, we're just gonna let these people just tag along with the U.S. military. We're going to expend U.S. military resources and put fucking U.S. military pilots in harm's way to fly these fucking people around so they could play with their boys and their toys. Again, there's only two ways that you could take that. There's only two fucking ways in which you could take that. The sick fucking way in which it sounds, and if anybody wants to be, I don't know, in any way try to come out and say that he's talking about like the military and their guns and tanks and shit like that, because he's talking about being with Petraeus, loaned a chopper. That's the only association that I could possibly fucking think of. in this, but it's a bad look for the military, and it's certainly a bad look for Petraeus, saying that he loaned me a chopper, actually two, one as backup, again, using U.S. military resources, taxpayer money, and putting fucking U.S. military service members at risk to fly around these fucking assholes so they could play war, or God knows what else.
Yesterday, and he loaned me a chopper, actually two, with one as backup, April 2018. So this is the year again before Epstein's arrest on federal child sex trafficking charges, all the way up until then. You have an Epstein associate, his alleged girlfriend, we've talked about her before, Karina Shuliak, who he apparently, by the way, Epstein wanted to leave the massivest fortune and his properties to upon his death, wrote to Pritzker, going to try to find a new girlfriend for Jeffrey. Pritzker apparently writes back with a smiley face, "May the force be with you." July 20.
Burn them, all of them, lock, throw away the key, flush the key, light it, torch it, it's over.
2015, Epstein to Pritzker. Would you find it amusing to have Dalai Lama meet Woody Allen for lunch on Saturday? Could be a memorable event. Pritzker writes back, "Can't do it. We'll explain." Pritzker resigned as Hyatt executive chairman, and he released a statement saying, "Good stewardship also means protecting Hyatt, particularly in the..."
I don't care what your statement said. You shouldn't be afforded the time to come out with a statement, you sick fucking pricks. Here's another one, because we talked about Mohammed bin Salman too as well.
Is it justified? You'll be the judge of that. Got to talk about Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, okay? Resigned as CEO of DP World. This is Dubai's largest port operator. Doesn't help when you have this email, June 2013, from Epstein to bin Sulayem. "All I know for sure is that you are one of my most trusted friends in every sense of the word. You have never let me down, not once, not half of once, and I greatly appreciate the time we spend together."
And again, the date on this, June 13th, 2013, right? So we talked about that scumbag. What other scumbags did we talk about? There's a couple other in here. Oh, here's a scumbag.
Some turned out to be younger than others, some as old as 60. "I'll explain when I see you." Rumler seems to respond, "I think the point is that if she was underage, she cannot legally consent to engaging in prostitution." They would also discuss politics and Donald Trump, or even calling Trump at one point truly stupid. There's this interesting email in 2016 regarding Bill Clinton, where Epstein writes, "My memory is a friend killer. I stopped talking to Clinton when he swore with wholehearted conviction to me that he had done something he had forgotten, that he also swore the exact opposite to me only weeks before." Speaking of Clinton, by the way, there's this one where Epstein writes, "Do you think Bill Clinton would like to join you, me, Ehud, and Steve? Could be very funny, all off the record." Rumler responds, "While he might like to, his lawyer would advise him against it." Rumler told the Wall Street Journal, "As I have said, I regret ever knowing him, and I have enormous sympathy for the victims of Epstein's crime."
So she
also added to a
step
representative
down, right?
in another statement, "I had no knowledge of any ongoing criminal..."
I believe she's another one that's seen accountability from this one. It goes on here to talk about some, all these other fucking idiots.
Was fired by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is back in September, and he resigned from the Labour Party a few weeks ago.
There's another one where they're looking at to what he did as far as when he was in office, the gifts and the, that he may have received, his contacts with Epstein. So again, a lot of this, as we've heard, resignations, public pressure is just the beginning, right? So I very much see in the future Peter Mandelson facing some serious charges as far as his his conduct while in office. Right at the bare minimum at the very beginning of this, and that will definitely lead to more charges, hopefully, for these sickos.
Of his Epstein connection. Kind of give you an idea. You have this exchange from 2009 allegedly surrounds Epstein's release from prison after serving 13 of his 18-month sentence on what I mentioned before, the charges of
after
solicitation of prostitution of a minor. So here's how that went. So this is from Jeffrey Epstein, okay? July 22nd, 2009. He writes, "Free and home." So you have this response, "How shall we celebrate?" Again, from allegedly Peter Mandelson. Jeffrey Epstein seems to respond with "grace and modesty. Those are the names of two strippers." This is a response allegedly from Mandelson. "How is freedom feeling?" Epstein responds, "She feels fresh, firm, and creamy."
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I feel like I need a fucking, like a biohazard shower after every single one of these podcasts now, right? Like, every time we cover this shit, I feel like I need to be hosed down by a fucking fire engine at the end of this. You just feel so fucking gross. It's just impossible not to come out of this being like, what world are we living in right now? And they go on to talk about more of these emails associated with Mandelson, talking about, obviously his communications with Epstein after the fact. This is May 2010. Sources tell me $500 billion euro bailout, almost complete. So inside information possibly being spread here about, was this the time that Brexit was going on, or am I? No, that's way too early for Brexit. I'm way off on that one. My apologies.
One where Mandelson allegedly gave Epstein a heads up that a 500 billion euro bailout had been agreed to tackle the Eurozone crisis. You can see the issue.
Oh, right. Eurozone crisis. My apologies. Yeah, I was way ahead of the time on that one. Excuse me.
Sheer Mandelson said to the Financial Times, "I regret ever meeting him or being introduced to him by his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. I regret even more the hurt he caused to many young women." And
All right, let's go on. Let's keep going. Let's see who else was
Brad Karp resigned as
Brad
chairman
Karp.
of Mega House law firm Paul Weiss. Got this 2015 email where he thanked Epstein for a once-in-a-lifetime evening. Or you have this correspondence where he connected his son David to Jeffrey Epstein to try to help David get a job on a Woody Allen film in 2016.
And this actually kind of claims, well, not kind of claims, it actually does claim, it talks about, what's the guy's name? Peter Attia? Is that the guy? That ABC actually retained, like he's been fired and he's been let go. Yeah, this guy here. But he's actually been retained by ABC.
His private parts were low carb, adding still waiting results on gluten content, though. You have an email from June 24, 2015 with the subject line, "Got a fresh shipment," where Tia seemingly writes, "The biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul." Now,
again, showing involvement, showing knowledge of what was taking place, and showing the fact that he didn't tell everybody, that he was covering it up. And I believe, as this video is about to say, that, you know, he's faced some accountability, but I believe, and, you know, we'll let it play, but I believe they say that ABC retained his employment.
He came out and said, "Reading that exchange now is very embarrassing."
Was it CBS? My apologies. Am I getting that wrong, Rox? Thank you for the correction. If I'm getting that wrong, I don't want to mislabel any of these corporations that have definitely licked the boot of Donald Trump. That would be bad of me. I wouldn't want to do that. You know what I mean? But if you're right, if I'm wrong, I do apologize.
I will not defend it. I'm ashamed of myself for everything about this. At the time, I understood this exchange as juvenile, not a reference to anything dark or harmful. He added that he was never on Epstein's plane, never on his island, never present at any sex parties. But Attia did step down from his role as the chief science officer at the snack bar company David Protein. And then there was a 60-minute segment that he was featured on that was reportedly pulled. He reportedly has been retained by CBS, though. What about the NFL?
Gotcha. My apologies. I retract the statement. ABC or whatever I said before, it was CBS. My apologies. Thank you, Rox, for the correction on that. And thank you everybody in the chat that was correcting me on that. My apologies. But I mean, how in the fucking world can you defend that? How are you going to retain his employment after that? Again, we're talking about court cases. We're talking about fucking, public spectacles here. I mean, we're talking about a lot of fucking things that should happen to these people, and not one of them involves retaining their employment anywhere, right? So again, you can see the way that CBS has gone downhill since Barry Weiss has taken over, right? Since Donald Trump has threatened them. So to retain this type of guy that clearly was talking about, hey, I know what you're involved in. Thank God I'm your best friend, but I can't tell anybody. Just goes to show you where CBS is at right now. And again, thank you to the mods in the chat for correcting me.
Investigating Steve Tisch, chairman, co-owner of the New York Giants, named over 400 times in the Epstein files. Because you have messages like this, where Tisch seemingly wrote to Epstein that he was, quote, curious to know about a woman, asked Epstein.
Look at the subject on it. Look at the subject. Ukrainian girl to Jeffrey Epstein, Friday, April 26, 2013. 2013. Remember the times. Remember the dates on this. Remember what happened in all of this. Remember what they know at this point in time. Thanks, Jeffrey. Curious to know about blank. I will contact blank. Pro or civilian. So you can listen to the way that they're speaking about these women, speaking about the victims and the girls abused in these cases. Is she a pro or is she a civilian? Has she been recruited by you, or do I have to be careful in what I say? Is she a normie, which is what this fucking email is trying to get across, right? Has she been wrapped up and is she under your wing? Is she under your control? Is she paid, or is she just a normal, just a normal person that I have to kind of watch what I say around? That's what that's trying to get across. And list the subject, Ukrainian girl.
She a pro or civilian? Epstein actually replied that he doesn't like records of these conversations.
And that's the response to this. Send me a number to call. I don't like records of these conversations. Now, do you think these are above board conversations that Jeffrey Epstein doesn't like having records of? I mean, we already seen a multitude of different emails, which they're not afraid to discuss certain shit. So do you think he's only hopping off the email and onto a phone call that he thinks nobody can listen on because they're talking about above board shit that they're doing with this quote unquote Ukrainian girl they're speaking about? No.
Apparently asked Epstein in another email about a different woman, is she fun? With Epstein replying she is a civilian but Russian and rarely tells the full truth, but fun. This one's pretty striking. Regarding Tisch meeting up with a woman, Epstein writes to him, you did very well. She is a little freaked by the age difference, but go slow. Now in a January statement.
Hold on, what did that say? Report just in. You did very well. She wants to go to the play. She is a little freaked out by the age difference, but go slow and wait. I will try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. Having her crying worked. Fucking disgusting Jesus Christ. So acknowledging that she's freaked out about the age, which we can only assume has been downplayed, which means that she was probably like just out of her mind, out of her body, like fucking frightened and scared, just totally disgusted by this whole thing. I will try to convince her not to return to Ukraine, which means she was saying that she wanted to return to Ukraine. Which she was saying that she didn't want to be here anymore. She was saying that she wanted to leave and go home. Having her crying worked. So basically, we broke her down, right? You did so well in abusing her and broke her down so well that you made her cry and that we got our point across. We were able to manipulate and control her after that. Okay? And this is Steve Tish, again, R.E. Ukrainian girl, on the 27th of April, 2013. Lock them the fuck up. Okay? I need a button. I need a lock them the fuck up button. That's what I need. That's what I need. Somebody help me with the lock them the fuck up button. That's what I need. Do I have one? Anything like that? Let's see. Anything like lock them the fuck up? No? I got to get something. I'll get something. But every time we see one of these sick pricks, we got to hit fucking lock them the fuck up. That's what we got to do.
Very well. She's a little freaked by the age difference, but go slow. Now, in a January statement to ESPN, Tish said we had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult
this is,
women.
again, listen, knowing what we just know about those emails that we just read. This is his bullshit statement. And again, I usually don't afford them the opportunity, but listen to the bullshit that you get from these people. We talked about adult women. In addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. Fuck you, buddy. You think we don't have eyes? You think we can't read? You think we don't know what the fuck was going on? This shit ain't gonna fly, okay? Too much is known. You're too deep into the well right now to be pulled back out with a fucking nonsense statement like this. Just because you acknowledge he's a terrible, well, guess what? You knew he was a terrible person when you were exchanging communications and emails. So you're only saying this because you were caught, you son of a bitch. Lock him the fuck up.
In addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person.
You don't get the ability.
With Epstein, we've already talked about that in a full episode of Sidebar where we talked about the royals' connection to Epstein. I mean, the photo of him on all fours hovering over a woman on the ground, pretty bad. Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, former Duchess of York, her charity, Sarah's Trust, announced on February 2nd, it's shutting down. I mean, one thing to keep in mind with her, there was correspondence between her and Epstein where she said, he was always the brother I've always wished for. Congratulated him on one point on having a child. Yeah, there was that whole secret child allegations. By the way, Ferguson had also at one point called Virginia Giuffre's claim that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew a salacious lie. She said that in a TV interview. The Clintons, they're going to testify in front of Congress because of Bill's photos with Epstein. You know, remember the famous pool photo that came out? Took trips on Epstein's plane. Leon Black, investor.
I got to say, wasn't too fucking thrilled, wasn't too happy, wasn't too, satisfied with any of the responses that good old Hillary was given in the interview that she had about Bill's involvement. A bunch of bullshit coming out of her fucking mouth, too, if I do say so myself there, fucking Hill. Okay?
Former CEO of Apollo Global Management. We've talked about him, too. He left Apollo in 2021, said it was health issues, but remember, a lot of questions came up about his relationship with Epstein. One of the things that came up in the Epstein files was communications about the two, like this one. Leon Black will come see J.E. tomorrow at 10 a.m.
And again, everybody's referring to the Les Wexner deposition in which his lawyer kind of whispered into his ear that he would kill him if he answered any other question with more than 5 words. Obviously, I don't think he was, in my opinion, I don't think he was being legitimately serious that he would take Les out. But again, any Les Wexner is good for the planet in this regard. But I do believe that he was just kind of using, disgusting, inhumane kind of lawyer speak, if you will, in that regard. But again, a funny situation to hear. My apologies. Not a funny situation, but an odd situation to hear. Wexner being spoken to like that by his attorney. Especially with what he's facing now, especially with the problems that he's been wrapped up in all of the engagements, affiliations, in all of these communications that we know from Les. But a lot of that's another thing people are talking about. Another thing people are talking about is this. This is the second time in a few days that we've talked about Roger Sullenberger's Substack. He's been doing fantastic work. Roger Sullenberger, I believe, is with the Daily Beast, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know in the chat. Correct me in the chat if I am wrong on that one. But I do believe he's affiliated and with the Daily Beast. He's been doing some pretty good work. We read his other Substack the other day in regards to the FBI and their labeling of a credible witness that talked about allegations with Donald Trump. Again, that was under FBI, Donald Trump's FBI themselves. They went and spoke to the witness several times. This wasn't a random tip line that was just kind of unconfirmed, unsubstantiated, and nobody spoke to her. This was completely different. Not only that, but somebody of the same biographical kind of, details had won a settlement from the Epstein, what do they call it? The Epstein fund, the Epstein rant. Why am I forgetting what they're calling it? Let me know in the chat. The Epstein fucking, what do they call it? Not the fund. It's not a fund. I don't know what it is. They won a settlement from the Epstein. Why can't I think of it? Estate. Thank you, Mr. Foss, for Christ's sakes. Oh, my Lancer. I'm telling you, the concussions are catching up here. All the sports playing, the concussions are catching up. Not as quick as I used to be. Not as quick as I used to be. But thank you. That's why I got you guys in the chat to help me out. I appreciate it. But yes, they want a settlement from the Epstein estate. So obviously that would show and would detail that they had absolute factual knowledge and factual details that would allow them to win that settlement. And obviously that's something that needs to be talked about. But this one is more talking about, there are a lot of people out there, and we've been talking about these people. They've been doing great work, these sleuths on the internet that have been going back and forth and looking at connections and different details and trying to look up, stuff in the pictures that may give us insight and information as to where it was, when it was, who was involved. And basically what they're noticing now is when they go back to reference a file or reference a different picture or reference something that Donald Trump has mentioned in, like they had before, that document is now gone. Okay, that is no longer there. That document has been removed by the DOJ, even though it was already previously released to the public, right? So basically, Sullenberger here, Roger has done a very good job on his Substack talking about how the DOJ removed records of multiple FBI interviews with underage Trump accusers. Epstein data shows the FBI spoke at least 4 times with the woman who credibly accused Trump of sexual assaulting her when she was a minor. This is the same we were talking about the other day. Epstein files show the document is no longer accessible on the DOJ website. So people that have already seen this file, have already referenced this file, have talked about it, are now going back to say, okay, I need to look at that for some other instance, some other reason to compare that to this. They're putting in the case number, the file number, gone. Not there anymore. Been removed by the DOJ. Don't want you to see it. It wasn't supposed to have been made public to begin with, one can only assume. So when people started talking about it, and after it started getting kind of momentum in being talked about, that's when they decided to release it. So not only did Roger do a great job on his Substack here, which we'll go over, but I wanted to highlight Jesse Dollamore's video speaking about this as well, because Jesse, good friend of the show, always great to us, did a great video speaking about this exact thing here. So I want to go on from Jesse's video. We'll play a little bit, and then we'll go in right into Roger's Substack to learn more about the DOJ and these files that have been taken down, even after they've already been made public, and we know about Donald Trump's involvement in them. So what do you say we dive into it? Again, Jesse Dollamore here, good friend of the show. If you're not subscribed to him, I would definitely recommend you head over to his channel, Jesse Dollamore, the Dollamore Daily. He's also got the I Doubt It podcast that he does with him and his great partner, Brittany Page. I'm sure that is all linked here down below, but he's got 1.26 million subscribers. In case you're just learning about Jesse, this was posted February 19th. Got about 130,000 views to this moment. All right, let's dive into it. Appreciate it. This is again about the DOJ deleting evidence of Trump raping little girls is the title to his video. Let's go in.
Why would those particular documents disappear just after they were made public and gained a little bit of notoriety? It seems to me impossible any longer to try to avoid the accusation or avoid making the accusation that this government is in service to Donald Trump and protecting him against allegations, credible accusations, that he raped children. And this story from Roger Sullenberger just lays it all bare. Excuse me. Did not get a lot of sleep last night. This story from Roger Sullenberger on his Substack, but also I'm going to read a tweet to you, is remarkable because there's a lot of people who are into the Epstein files, reading and cross-referencing and finding patterns, and they're going back to documents that they had once referenced and finding that they are gone. after a document gets notoriety and gets some publicity, that there are interviews out there that Donald Trump with victims, alleged victims, who say Donald Trump didn't just rape me once, he raped me multiple times. All of a sudden, those documents from the Epstein files that are protected and forced to be public under the law that Donald Trump signed and Republicans voted for, all of a sudden they disappear from the website. Why would those particular documents disappear just after they were made public and gained a little bit of notoriety in the public's eye? If not for protecting a pedophile, if not for protecting Donald Trump, not in service to justice, not in service to justice for the victims and getting to the bottom of this. We know that there was criminality because there has been convictions. Ghislaine Maxwell sits in a cushy but federal prison right now for her crimes. Jeffrey Epstein, before his unceremonious death, was convicted of trying to secure a teenage girl for prostitution. Like a 14-year-old girl, not an 18-year-old girl. So we know that there are crimes that we're talking about here. This is a tweet from Roger Sullenberger. News: the FBI interviewed an Epstein victim who accused Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was underage, not once, but at least 4 times. And the document that shows those additional interviews appears to have been deleted from the DOJ website. Now, I'm going to read just a few paragraphs from his Substack. Let me tell you, Roger Sullen, there are people out there, when I talk about good work being done, you need to support that work if you have the means to do so. Roger Sullenberger, if you're at all interested in following this particular saga, there's a few people out there who have done the due diligence and the work and have the expertise of investigatory matters to go through and connect the dots. Julie K. Brown is one. I subscribe to her. Roger Sullenberger, I also subscribe to his Substack. And if you have it in you, whether interest-wise or dollar-wise, to support good work, you should do that. This is from him.
And again, I'll relieve him of his duties there. I just wanted to get his kind of take on the whole matter. We can go into the Substack ourselves here. Here's Roger Sullenberger's Substack. And again, it's titled DOJ Removed Record of Multiple FBI Interviews with Underage Trump Accuser. Epstein Data Shows. And again, as he was going to do, we'll just read a couple paragraphs of this to kind of get the details out into the open here, into the spotlight. On Sunday, I reported, and this was the report that we looked at earlier in the week in our last podcast. On Sunday, I reported that the FBI interviewed a victim who accused Donald Trump of sexually and violently assaulting her when she was 13 to 15 years old. I also reported that some of the Justice Department's case files for this woman, who later sued and reportedly received a settlement from Jeffrey Epstein's estate for sexual abuse allegations in the same time frame, appear to be missing from the government's publicly searchable Epstein database. However, I have now found DOJ records showing that the FBI did not just interview this woman once. The FBI interviewed this woman who claimed that Trump forced her to give him oral sex when she was in her early teens, then punched her in the head after she bit his penis and kicked her out at least 4 times. But the DOJ's file associated with those records and document cataloging information and the government-provided counsel for Epstein, for convicted Epstein conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell during her trial has apparently been removed. Here, sorry, I'll get myself out of the way so you can see. The revelation adds to the mounting pile of evidence undermining statements from Attorney General Pam Bondi and other administration officials, assuring the public that the Epstein files release has been transparent, complete, and bereft of any evidence implicating Trump in wrongdoing. My initial report also raised questions about the files associated with the victim's case number 3501.045 that do not appear in the Epstein database. In other words, the case seems to be incomplete. Quick background on my first report about the accuser, if you need it. If not, feel free to skip this paragraph. We already went through that on our last podcast. Feel free to go back and check out. You can probably just search Roger Sullenberger on the search engine there, and that'll pull up the last podcast where we were speaking about it. Today, I searched for the victims in an AI-powered database, EpsteinData.com, of files that have been downloaded at some point from the DOJ's publicly released data. They turned up a document I hadn't seen before showing that the FBI conducted not 1, but 4 interviews with this victim. The 4 interviews took place in the summer of 2019 after the initial tip was given in the days following Epstein's arrest. The document also accounts for FBI interview notes associated with 3 of the 4 interviews. Here's a screenshot of the records, and you can see associated with the case notes here, the interview 302, interview notes, interview 302, and the notes from it, interview 302 and the notes from it, and then interview 302 here on your screen. You can see the dates associated with it, 7/24/2019, 7/24/2019. Wait, well, excuse me. Sorry, well, they got that backwards. My apologies. Yeah, no, that was right. They just got them in the opposite order here. And you can see the produced to defense here and the dates over here as well. So again, it goes on to say that the only reason that the public can see the screenshot today is because in the late January, this Epstein database document happened to get saved in the Wayback Machine, a web page archiving service. So again, if that was not there, we would have no reference, no link to that document. Here's the link to that document there. You can go in the AI database, also save this file before the document was taken offline, and the database associates that file with the DOJ internet address. But this address, the justice.gov address right here. But as of this writing today, the address returns page not found, as you can see here. Right. However, thanks to the Internet Archive, the document does live on. Plug that address into the Wayback Machine, and you can read that a document that the DOJ gave Ghislaine Maxwell as part of their criminal case against her, but apparently no longer allows the public to see. Despite the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a federal law stipulating that the public release of the government's documents and records against Epstein and co-conspirator Maxwell. Other manifests of witness statements in the Maxwell trial, known as 3500 material, begin with the number 3502, basically different versions of this file. The now inaccessible spreadsheet catalogs non-testifying witness material that federal prosecutors provided to Maxwell's defense in 2021. In other words, the government was telling Maxwell's lawyers, quote, as part of our evidence sharing duties in this case, here are materials related to witness we aren't calling to testify against you. The Trump-Epstein accusers' allegations cover roughly 1983 to 1985. Maxwell reportedly joined Epstein's inner circle years later, right? So that would make sense as to why they would be giving Ghislaine Maxwell the case information that didn't pertain to her case, right? So the interview timeline raises significant questions for Trump, his White House mouthpieces, and his handpicked leaders at DOJ. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, the Deputy Attorney General and former Trump criminal defense lawyer Todd Blanche, and former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, who announced he would return to his prior life as a podcast host when the Epstein files were first released in December. Bongino has officially departed before the largest potential final batch of the files was dumped in late January. All of these officials have sought to distance and downplay Trump's ties to the dead child predator, sometimes with unabashed, obvious lies and gleeful defiance. Before joining the Trump administration, Bondi, Patel, Bongino had all advocated for the full release of the Epstein Files material, which we've spoken about and highlighted a lot on this podcast. But on February 27th, Bondi made a big public to-do on Fox News, claiming she had cash. But yeah. This is basically just going back over all of the lies told, I think, here by Pam Bondi. As she said, she had turned over all the evidence. She had it on her desk. The next day, however, the DOJ returned Trump. So I think we have all read this part. We're all up to date on kind of the history of this. But again, the explosive part, obviously, being the fact that the DOJ is now even more blatantly engaged in this cover-up by removing information that was already publicly available. So we're not talking about just holding these back. We're not talking about the 3 million files that they've yet to release, right? We're not talking about the definitely known, audio recordings and videotapes that must be fucking millions and millions of them out there that we haven't seen yet. Not that stuff. The stuff that we've already seen that probably wasn't meant to be released, that they fucked up on, they didn't see Donald Trump's name in, or whatever happened, just the blatant incompetency of the people at the FBI or the DOJ under the leadership of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel somehow missed these files with Donald Trump's name on it, even though they had 1,000 agents tasked going through these files night in and night out to try to fucking erase Donald Trump's name from them. They fucked up. And then when people started talking about these files and started talking about the credible allegations that are mixed up in there with, some of the more salacious and unconfirmed reports and allegations, especially by Donald Trump's FBI themselves, to see that now removed from the DOJ database, the Epstein database, by these people, gives us clear-cut evidence to suggest they're covering up for Donald Trump. There's no other reason. There's no other reason. There's no information about victims in there that they could credibly say, okay, we removed it because of this. Nothing. They've already been in defiance of the Transparency Act numerous times. And again, here's another instance in which they're in clear defiance of the fucking Transparency Act by removing stuff that we are supposed to have the legal right to observe. And again, if this isn't, if this wasn't one of the strangest and most fucking diabolical time periods and time frames and political moments, this would be the biggest fucking story, right? This would be headline news. This would be talked about all over the fucking world. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, actively engaged in a cover-up, actively defying the law to protect the President of the United States from his involvement in the largest child sex predator and child sex trafficking ring in history. But because we have, the possibility of war with Iran, because we have, the incompetency and the failures of this government and governments prior to defend against and to stop Vladimir Putin from what he's doing, because we have Donald Trump, threatening to take over Greenland and trying to erase our partnerships and allies and trade partners all over the world, as he ruins the economy and sends ICE into different neighborhoods to shoot American citizens in broad daylight on the streets of our country. All of that's going on. So this gets fucking wrapped up into it. You know what I mean? But, we're trying to do our best here to make sure that this doesn't get left behind. This gets highlighted and spotlighted, and people continue to talk about the clear-cut evidence of this fucking government's engagement in a clear-cut cover-up of the largest sex child trafficking operation in history. And again, Roger Sullenberger here, credit where credit is due, doing fantastic work as far as uncovering what has been going on and talking about the files. I really do think that it would be, smart of anybody to, I don't know if it's a paid or unpaid subscription, I don't know, but if you're able to follow him without coming out of pocket with any money, I would definitely suggest that you do so. And then shout out again, once again, to Jesse Dollamore for covering this story as well. So appreciate you guys. All right, let's go on to here. We're going to talk about a little of the warmongers, as we just talked about, the different aspects and what's going on in this world, and how crazy of a time period it really is that we're living in. Like, I know, like, we always talk about the frog in the boiling water. Like, I think it's going to be sometime years down the line when we look back on this moment and look back on the last 10, 12 or so years, or, even as far back as 9/11, if you want to go, and just the things that we've seen. Right? Just how fucking crazy it was for us to have Donald Trump make it into office the first time, the shit that we went through in the first term, all the nonsense through Joe Biden's administration and then on to the second term. Like, all of it wrapped up together. It's going to be quite some time before we can look back and say, holy shit, right? I mean, I know all of us living in this moment recognize it to a point, but just how bad it is, I don't know. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Just how crazy it is. But talking about different aspects, we're going to go on in here. We're going to show just how the neocons, right? Just how these warmongers are frothing at the mouth, and they just cannot contain themselves with the possibility of war with Iran. Here is Carl Shitsby here, who just the other day was so fucking close to getting the answers by pinpointing Donald Trump's culpability, engagement in criminality in the Epstein files, and why the government is now engaged in the fucking cover-up for him. He was so goddamn close that he nearly tripped over the answer. Did he end up finding it? No. Nope, he did not. He shut the light off in the room and totally walked backwards and actually exonerated, or went on to try to attempt to exonerate Donald Trump from all of his criminalities in this case. So it didn't work out for him that much. But here he is again, just really, really just struggling to contain himself and the excitement he has with, again, the men and women of the armed forces, your nieces, your nephews, your daughters, your sons, your aunts, your uncles, your fathers, your wives that now serve this country, that now took an oath to this country to defend us against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that are now being used and wielded as props, as political fucking pawns by this administration to put pressure on allies, to put pressure on smaller, not insignificant, I don't want to say that's the wrong term, but, different countries that do not pose a threat to us. Maybe in this case, not one of them, but again, when we're talking about Venezuela, we're talking about, all of the different places that we've now put threats upon, whether it's Greenland, Denmark. I mean, places that typically you wouldn't normally think about at this point in time. But here he is, just can't help himself, really, really excited about the possibility of sending your family members into harm's way as political pawns for this administration to, again, either A, wield power on the world stage, or B, or A and B, distract himself from the Epstein files or distract the public and the world from the Epstein files in his involvement. So, again, here's Kyle Shitsby talking about just do it already. So he doesn't want to wait. He wants war right now. He can't contain himself. And this is him trying to explain to us why we need to go to war with Iran. Look at the top of it. You can't see it, but you can see it. Kyle Higbee, we got an awesome fighter. We got awesome fighter jets that'll make it rain glass in Iran, right? Actively talking about the killing of civilians, actively talking about the killing and murder of an entire population, basically, right? Turning it all into glass. Here we go.
Look, the downside of this is that sometimes you got to make pink mist parking lots and bomb people back to the Stone Age, which in Iran's case, I'm actually completely fine with and encourage it. Look, having been to war,
and even encourage it, these sick fucks, these sick fucking pricks. I mean, he can't contain himself. He is just over the moon with excitement in this, right? Sometimes you just got to bomb some people. Right? Sometimes civilians just need to fucking perish,
against
according
war,
to Kyle.
which is one of.
Sometimes you just can't help it, right? I don't know what the parking lot. What was the fucking opening line with the parking lots here? What was that?
Look, the downside of this is that sometimes you got to make pink mist parking lots and bomb.
I still don't know what the fuck he said. Does anybody know what the fuck he said? Pink mist parking lots? I don't know what that means.
Look, the downside of this is that sometimes you got to make pink mist parking lots and bomb people back to
pink mist parking lots. So is he talking about just the complete obliteration of human beings? Yeah, Bob, I think we're kind of on the same horrendous pieces of shits here we're talking about, right? Yeah, right, exactly, Pam. I'm with you. We're all on the same page. I got you. It didn't, I mean, I don't think that way, obviously, so it's not the first thought that pops into my head when I hear that type of thing. I'm not, normally, dreaming and salivating at the mouth about the complete total obliteration of people to the point where you can't even recognize, substance and matter at the end of it. Like, typically not something I'm thinking about. So excuse me if it took me a second there. But I mean, just to show you what warmongers and neocons look like and how bloodthirsty they are. And now that we were out of Afghanistan, like how they were itching. Remember how we talked about how when we got out of Afghanistan, how they'd be itching to get us into the next war, how they'd be fucking itching and dying to not only keep us in Afghanistan, but start another conflict somewhere else that would lead to a prolonged war where they could profit off of the death and misery and the fucking, the production of weapons and ammunition and all the fucking defense corporations and all the private contractors that make money off of this shit.
The Stone Age, which in Iran's case, I'm actually completely fine with and encourage it. Look, having been to war, I am generally against war. Which
sounds like it. It sounds like it. It sounds like you really learned your lesson, serving this country and watching your brethren go down and fall in battle. For what, though, right? I mean, did it seem like you guys, and a lot of the times, you'll hear about the fact that the men and women of the armed service, when it fucking boils down to it, are just fighting for the ally, the comrade, the men and women to the right and to the left of them, right? And again, the overall mission tends to kind of lose its muster and tends to blend in. And again, when you get down into the fucking nitty and gritty, it's basically you're just there to protect the guy on your right and your left, the man and woman on your right and your left, your commanders to make sure you're completing the goals and stuff like that. So a lot of this, like, hey, I was in there and, I'm all for it. And sometimes you just need some war type of shit. Like, I don't think you got the right message coming out of that. I'm just going to say, I don't think you really learned the right lessons or kind of, took into account the human suffering, the misery, or the lack of benefit coming out of the wars that you served in, right?
Any reasons I voted for Trump 3 times, but you know what? I'm on board.
The president of peace, I'll remind you. That's why he voted for the president of peace, the no new wars guy, right? The guy that said he was going to be America first. Let's focus and fix America before we get involved in any new conflicts, before we even talk to any other countries and nations, right? We are the president of peace. They just had the Board of Peace meeting, How do you get that through your fucking thick goddamn skulls? Like, how do you justify having a board of peace bullshit, fucking stupid, useless meeting at the same time we're talking about going to war with Iran? Make some fucking sense, Kyle.
With whatever Trump's about to do with Iran. First off, Iran should just be happy I'm not in charge, because I would bomb them just out of revenge, given my intimate.
Yeah, we're just going to kill civilians because I feel like I need some revenge on a whole country because of something that I went through when I served in the military. That makes sense. I'm sure you, again, learned your lesson. And again, if these are the fucking people that are in charge, thank fucking Christ this guy isn't a commander and a leader right now. But you know who is? Pete Hegseth, who I can assure you probably thinks more aligned and alike with Kyle Shitsby here than any of the military personnel, any of the career military fucking generals, or anybody attached to the Pentagon or SOCOM or any of these fucking different positions. Guarantee he's more in line and thinking with Kyle Shitsby here. Like, let's just, I need some revenge. Let's just start dropping some bomb and turning some people into glass here. You know what I mean? What else are we going to do? We're a little bored at the moment. We can't talk about the Epstein files, so we need something to talk about.
Experience fighting with them. And this should kind of give you some insight into why I personally still think that it's a good idea to turn Tehran into a thick, 6-foot thick sheet of glass. But all
right, just in that one sentence, do we know how many people he's talking about killing? Right? Do we know how many? Just to put it in perspective. Okay? Just to put it in perspective. Right now, the current population of Tehran. Do you guys know? I'll give you guys a guess. Don't look it up. Just a guess. Just throw it in the chat. Don't look it up. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. That's not the point of this experiment. What's the population of just the city of Tehran? Okay. I'll give you a second in the chat. Okay. We got some guesses, and don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Or Bruma, 2 million. We got a 300K. We got 5 million, 4 million, 7 million. I'll give you guys some time. Don't look it up. We got a 7, we got a 38, we got a 5. Just toss it in there. All good, brother. Nobody's getting called out or anything. 2 million, 200, 6, 9 million. Okay, the population of Tehran for 2025 is nearly 10 million fucking people, okay? But if we're talking about the suburban areas in the Tehran province surrounding that, containing more like 17 million people. 17 million fucking people, or just 10 million if we're talking about Tehran, okay? The city itself. So in his one sentence, that if he was the commander, if he was a leader of the armed forces, that he would turn Tehran into glass, is just casually talking about the deaths, the eradication of nearly 10 million people. Just to put that one sentence in perspective. That is neocon warmongering at its fucking finest right there, baby. To casually dismiss, to casually eradicate and erase 10 million people in one sentence, in one thought, in one action, tells you a lot about these fucking people that now we're faced, okay? We are not the fucking same. The Democrats and the Republicans, the left and the right. Does the left have its fucking issues? Does the left have its imposters? Does the left have its fucking criminals and scumbags? Abso-fucking-lutely they do. But we are not the fucking same. We are not the same people. We are not the same fucking, whatever you want to draw it down to, we are not the fucking same. And without getting into the territory of deriding them as others, because I know that's a fucking fine line that we have to that we face too, of not, losing sight of humanity and getting caught up into the rabid animalistic nature of the enemy that we face. But sometimes fire with fire. Sometimes that is, the only way to get down and dirty and to play in the mud. In order to fucking get these pigs out of it, you got to get dirty. You got to get in the mud. As unfortunate it is to continue to talk about, it's just it's the reality of the situation. It's the nature of the beast here. You're not going to be able to stay clean and get these people out of power. It's just not fucking possible because they ain't playing by the rules. Like I said the other day, they're on the NASCAR 500 track. We're doing the fucking loop-de-loops. Meanwhile, they're cutting across the fucking infield every lap. Okay? You can't beat them like that. You're not going to be able to stay on the loop if they're cutting across the middle of the track every lap and fucking taking away half of the fucking track. okay? Because they ain't playing by the rules. They're not playing normal political times here. So we can't be returning with normal political moves or with normal political rhetoric, unfortunately. But I didn't put us in this situation. I didn't create the moment. I'm just reacting to it, okay? Sorry, let me throw this back on.
My team's primary mission in Iraq, which borders Iran, was in fact to.
All right, we don't have to go on with this. My apologies. I just wanted to get you to kind of recognize how shitty Kyle Shitsby was and how crazy and fucking insane and murderous and genocidal these people are. And you wonder why it's difficult for them to get it out of their mouths that Israel is engaged and perpetrated in a genocide. That's why they don't care about it. It's not bad to them. It's not a genocide. Genocide would implicate something bad. Genocide implicates something that is inhumane, right? They don't see it as that. So therefore, they can't recognize the genocide. They can't even call it out. They can't recognize it in their head because it's a good thing. It is positive action. It's exactly what they want to see happen. So why would they call it a genocide? Genocide has negative connotations to it. So you're not going to get to see it. All right, next clip before I go on and fucking lose my mind on Kyle Shitsby on Newsmax there. Here's another clip I wanted to take a look at here. There's a couple instances in this where we're only going to dive into a couple moments of it because I know we're kind of pressed on time here. But, you know, if you want to go check this out, Mehdi Hassan does a fucking fantastic job at the end of this. Going at and humiliating Piers Morgan on his own show, who, I don't know, Piers Morgan invites Mehdi Hassan on to debate, right? Mehdi Hassan obliterates Piers Morgan in a debate so badly that Piers Morgan literally just reverts to calling it an interview. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, oh, this isn't your show. This is my show. I asked the questions. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Okay, I just had you dead to rights. You can't answer the question. So that's what you have to fucking revert back to. You know what I mean? Don't press me on my show. I asked the questions. Well, this is a debate. You know, as much as you want to call it an interview, you're fucking coming on here. There's the two of us talking, and you have your ideas and my ideas. You defend Trump. I go against him. So it's a fucking debate. Okay. But at the very beginning of this, Randy Fine is questioned by Piers Morgan here. Randy Fine, the utterly degenerate, disgusting, dickhead, scumbag piece of shit that put out that tweet the other day about dogs and Muslims and how it wouldn't be a difficult decision to choose between the two, to the point in which even Megyn Kelly, I believe, called him out for that. But Piers Morgan, you know, credit where credit is due, not always or very much on the right side of these topics, does seem to fall down on the right side here. And he does kind of give it to Randy Fine a little bit for his post. So I just want to play a little bit of the beginning. And then at the end here, Mehdi Hassan comes on. And there's a few moments from that. I don't know if we don't have enough time. I might be able to find a couple clips on Twitter that take us right to kind of the main points of it. But let's dive on here where he goes after Randy Fine.
Israel, which they don't like, but rather the way that he does it. A post by the congressman on X this week stating that he chose dogs over Muslims drew a ferocious backlash from across the aisle. Gavin Newsom called him a racist slob. Megyn Kelly, the conservative commentator, said he was a pathetic, sweaty bigot. Well, here to justify what he did is Randy Fine, the Republican congressman in Florida. Congressman, welcome back to Uncensored.
Thanks, Piers. Thanks for having me.
So it takes quite something to unite Gavin Newsom and Megyn Kelly. And what it was what you posted on X. You said if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. To which I responded to you when I read that, you disgusting prick. To which you responded, Piers, what is disgusting is a major New York City Muslim leader saying we must give up our dogs because NYC is coming to Islam. We will not be shamed.
It's probably another good time here to chime in about the backlash or the so-called backlash that Mandami has been facing when people don't really recognize or understand what he was actually saying, right? Where he's basically trying to put public pressure on Kathy Hochul, again, the governor of New York, for her, the one that said she's unwilling to tax the rich, so he's not forced to implement the other tax policies that would have to come, again, if Kathy Hochul doesn't do what she's supposed to do and tax the rich. So a lot of people getting all fucking fed up. A lot of people getting all up in arms, not understanding. And on the right, trying to create this problem. I'm not saying the people on the left are fooled by this by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, you got people out there like Michael Rappaport and different morons like that don't understand really the games being played or what he actually said, and trying to manipulate people and trying to, again, play it off as something else. But again, if you do your due research, you do your due diligence in there, you'll see exactly what was going on and what exactly is taking place. And again, the New York City politics that was happening right in front of your eyes at his speech.
Like the Europeans, I choose my dog. And you said, I know my first appearance on your show didn't go well for you, but if you want to try again, I'm happy to administer another beating, which I'm very, very pleased to see that you've decided to do that again.
You know what's fucking really annoying too? These fucking keyboard warriors, the fucking both of them too. Like, Pierce Moore calls him a prick for what he said, right? And then this fucking Randy Fine character goes and says, oh, I'll give you a beat down like I gave you last time. And then, you know, they get in front of cameras together and they're all chuckles, and they're all fucking patting themselves on the back and they're lovey-dovey and laughing. Oh, it's funny that you guys, you know, you transform into fucking the Incredible Hulk when you get a keyboard in front of you. But as soon as the keyboard's removed, and as soon as you got to get your fat, decrepit-looking stupid ass on camera, you really change into a different person, right? And fucking Pierce is even guilty of this too. Like, you know, why is he being so nice to a guy he called the prick? Like, if I had a prick on, I don't think I'd be as nice as Pierce is being to this guy. Especially if I thought he just had one of the more racist, bigoted, and fucking decrepit statements that has ever been put on fucking Twitter. To the point where even Megyn Kelly had to call him out.
The first one. The comment you were responding to was by someone who's been on my show a few times, Nerdine Kiswani. She's the co-founder of the pro-Palestinian group.
I'm just skip ahead just a second.
Party, right? But we're collectively, jokingly hating on dogs, given all the visible.
There was nothing sarcastic about it. It said, finally, Islam is coming to New York. Dogs are unclean, and we should not have dogs as indoor pets. No reasonable interpretation could find that funny. Several days later, after millions of people had seen it, she tried to backtrack by saying that it was a joke. And my response was clearly in response to that. And you left out the important part of it. I said, if they force us to choose, I don't want to choose. If Muslims want to be in the United States and they want to practice their religion and go to mosque, that's great. But
I don't think that's the important part of that. The important part of that is if given the option to choose, you were pretty clear cut on what you said people would choose or what you yourself would choose. And again, the implication of that was very clear. And it was very fucking, you know, meant for the matter and meant for the moment on Twitter. And it got that reaction that you were hoping for.
As this woman would like us to, between owning a dog and having our neighbors say you can't have a dog.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't care about his explanation. I really don't. I just want to see where Pierce comes back at him, and then we can move on to Mehdi.
Yourself, it wouldn't have caused half the outrage it caused because you qualified it by saying that. Muslims who hate. Well, no. You just qualified it by saying something you didn't actually say. You said Muslims who hate dogs or whatever. You qualified it. Actually, what you tweeted, and I'll repeat the whole thing in full. If they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. As Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez said about what you said, this is genuinely one of the most disgusting statements I've ever seen issued by an American official. It should not stop shocking us that the Republican Party openly embraces this. Fines should be censored and stripped of committees. To ignore this is to accept and normalize it. Gavin Newsom, California governor, said, resign now, you read Gavin Newsom's comment already, Piers.
He's getting pissed. He doesn't like the backlash. He doesn't like Pierce reading the comments against him.
Okay. Look. Okay. But hang on 1 second. Let me just finish my point. Ro Khanna said we must call this what it is: disgusting bigotry. Fine must be censored. It's about morality and decency, not politics. But then, crucially, as I said earlier, Megyn Kelly, who is a prominent conservative commentator.
I understand.
Somebody you would never normally. So hang on. No, I'm going to read a whole quote. Somebody who would never normally stand behind any of those three people said, what I figured out, you pathetic, sweaty man, is when an idiot Muslim says no dogs in NYC, instead of attacking the person or the policy, you went full bigot. Fuck off, she said. Now, that's the truth. It's the way you phrase what you posted. Gave no equivocation,
okay, so let me ask you
clarification,
a
no qualification.
Let me ask
you simply said dogs against
Piers,
Muslims.
Are you going to? I know it's your show, and I try to be respectful, but I'd like a chance to speak. What you didn't do is in my post,
Again, without giving Randy Fine the opportunity to explain himself because he doesn't deserve the opportunity. There was a couple more instances in here, and we're kind of running out of time, unfortunately, where Piers Morgan did clap back at him. There are a couple moments in which Piers Morgan more recently, has been finding himself more in line and against MAGA, more in line with the left and more in line with the Democrats and against what MAGA and Donald Trump is doing. But again, he doesn't get overwhelming flowers or an excuse or an escape from any of the culpability that he has in leading us into this moment at all. But I do find it important because of the sway that he has on the internet here and because of the people that do watch his show, when he does combat, these racists and the bigots, and when he does combat anything that Donald Trump says or does, to bring that up and to highlight it. But there's a moment in here where Mehdi Hassan comes on to debate Piers, and it doesn't go well for Piers at all. And there's a few moments in here I want to talk about, and let me just see. I'm gonna let it play, and in the background, I'll see if I can pull up a couple clips. That way we can dive into the exact moments, and we don't have to watch too much of it here. But here's where Mehdi comes on, and they go into a debate. Mehdi rips him apart as usual, and Piers Morgan does what he typically does and says, "Hey, you don't ask the questions here. Anytime I'm caught in a corner like a trapped rat, I get to say it's my show, so I don't answer any questions." So let me see if I'll play this and let us see if I can find some in the background here.
Welcome back to Uncensored. Before we get to your world record burst on X, and I can understand why, by the way, just your response to Congressman Randy Fine, who basically thinks that if it comes to a choice between dogs and Muslims, he'll choose dogs. You've heard his explanation. What did you make of it?
I mean, it's a nonsense explanation, which, as you pointed out, he would never accept for any other minority group, including his own, including for Jewish people in the US. I'm glad you pushed him on his horrific bigotry. Although I would say that one thing that was missing from that interview was the context, right? Anyone watching Randy Fine for the first time might think it was just this one tweet that we're debating. This man has a long history of bigotry, Piers, as you know. A day before he tweeted about picking dogs over Muslims, he tweeted Palestinian is a synonym for evil. All Palestinians are evil, according to him. In the past, he's called for the nuking of Gaza. He said starve away when people have talked about Palestinian children starving. He cheered and celebrated on Twitter when someone sent him a picture of a dead Palestinian baby. He said, thank you very much. The man is vile. He's racist. His rhetoric is genocidal. And he lied to you, Piers, when he said, I'm just against radical Muslims. He's, again, on record. Go check his Twitter. He says mainstream Islam is pure evil. That means that Islam practiced by all 2 billion people around the world.
He's so fucking good, man. He really is so good. Credit and a shout out to Mehdi for just, having this shit down pat. I don't know if he's just got these tweets from Randy Fine off the top of his dome, or if he's just that good that he knew because Randy was on earlier in the show that he was probably going to be questioned about it. So he did some due diligence and some background checking and some tweet searching from Randy in the past. I don't know, but he's fucking good, man. He's just good.
Is evil. This is what he says. So this is the Republican Party of today, Piers. I've been trying to tell you about it for the last 2 years on your show. It's a far-right, fascistic, white supremacist party. If Randy Fine said that about any other group, we would be saying that is Nazi rhetoric from the 1930s and 40s.
Well, I wouldn't judge the whole Republican Party by what Randy Fine says. I do think he's an outlier.
Well, why haven't they censored him? Why haven't they called him out? They're complicit. But Piers, they're complicit.
Well, they should. I agree. They should.
Silence is complicity. Yeah. And
but when Megyn Kelly
never done anything to Randy Fine.
When Megyn Kelly lined up to condemn
Megyn Kelly doesn't represent the entire Republican Party, right? And Megyn Kelly isn't a politician. She's not a representative of this country. And what Mehdi's talking about is, again, the representatives that are not failing to call this out, that are failing to censure him in this moment. So again, Piers with this fucking little straw man going to Megyn Kelly and her tweet and figuring that she had something to say about it is going to encompass the entire, Republican and conservative movement and just, and get them out of the culpability and to say, well, she said something, so it must go for the whole movement is total bullshit. And there's a couple moments here too. Here's one of them. Where, this is posted by Brian Cardone, says, Piers is a bootlicker. Mehdi has his number. MAGA needs to, and I don't know if I could say that on this, so I'll
he never went on
let
the
you
plane.
read
He
it.
went on the
But
plane.
here's one of the other moments too. Let me play it from the beginning here. Can you guys see it? Yeah, you can see it. All right, let me play this.
But just on Trump, I just want to mention a couple of things. I just brought this along just to remind myself. Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than has previously been reported or that we were aware. That's an email from one of his own DOJ lawyers in 2020. Trump lied, Piers, when he said he never went on the plane. He went on the plane 8 times. We know, for example, that Epstein wrote in 2011, Donald Trump spent hours at my house with a victim. He referred to Trump being at his house as the dog that hasn't barked. He said in 2019, Trump knew about the girls. Now, he could be lying, Epstein. He's a horrible, convicted sex offender. But the point is, we've not had full investigations. The media has barely touched this, Piers. There's been a lot of coverage of Prince Andrew and Thiel and Elon Musk and Reid Hoffman and all sorts of people, Katie Couric. There hasn't actually been that much coverage of Donald Trump's own relationship with Epstein as much as there should have been. If this was any other president or politician, this would be a huge scandal. And I agree with you on the kind of, we haven't got evidence of criminality, but I just want to show, this is in the Epstein files, right? This is page 21. This is a 21-page FBI PowerPoint presentation. This is the page they have from last summer called Prominent Names.
We put that on the show. We showed that the other day on the show. I think that was part of the Roger Sullenberger Substack as well.
At the top with 2 allegations in there. Now, I'm not saying those are proven allegations, but the idea that we as a media, that the American public's not even familiar with those allegations, I think we need to be talking much more about what a huge scandal this is and how many lies have been told by the people in power, not just Donald Trump. And I know Bill Clinton is going to have his day to talk about what were his relationships with Epstein as well. Piers, I'll say this, one last point. I no longer can just laugh at people who come up with conspiracy theories anymore. I can't. I used to be very dismissive of conspiracy theories.
No,
but
I agree.
When it
I
comes
said
to this, we have seen the lies and the cover-up.
Do you know what? I said the other day, I would literally now be prepared to believe any conspiracy theory relating to the Epstein scandal, because so much of it is actually coming true. That who the hell knows, right? I mean, I just think the idea.
Although you're quick to defend your pal Donald Trump, who was close to him.
No, I'm only quick to defend him about one part of this, which is there's a lot of stuff in those files that is clearly fantastical, malicious, and was investigated and
but there's a lot of stuff redacted.
What was investigated and ruled out? Again, what was investigated and ruled out? I don't know where he's throwing this shit in there, because to what point has the DOJ expended any resources to go to the ends of the earth to figure out what exactly was prosecuted or what was investigated and what wasn't investigated? Because a lot of shady shit was going on behind the scenes that was allowing these people to get away with a lot of this fucking nonsense, to get them off on a lot lesser crimes, to let them serve a lot lesser time in jail that we don't know about. The DOJ wanted to prosecute some people. That wasn't fucking followed up. So there's nothing, like you just said, he's unwilling to say that anything is untrue in this, yet he's going to go on and talk about that, oh, we know that some of these allegations against Trump are untrue. Well, you just said the opposite 2 seconds ago, because everything was, basically coming true that you thought, and all the conspiracies, like you're not going to disbelieve any of them, but you know that all of the allegations against Trump are untrue somehow. Like, how do you how do these people get that around in their head and then it comes out their mouths and they think it makes sense?
Because
No, I agree, but there's no.
How do we know?
There's been
How do
no
we know
evidence.
The full extent of this.
Great point.
It's a perfectly valid point.
Agreed. But there hasn't been a full investigation. But there hasn't been a full investigation.
I agree with that.
Agree with that, Piers.
And I'm with you.
Kash Patel and Pam
Mehdi,
Bondi shutting it down. Why is the director of the FBI and the Attorney General shutting it down?
Mehdi, you're preaching to the choir. I've been saying the same thing. There should
I love it when we agree.
Be full
I
transparency.
love it when we agree, Piers.
I always feel a bit disconcerted when we agree.
And again, there's a bunch of other clips from this as well, where he had some great moments. Let's see here. Is this another one?
Or that we were aware. That's an email from one of his own DOJ lawyers in 2020. Trump lied, Piers, when he said he never went on the plane. He went on the plane.
No, was that the same one?
8 times. We know, for example, that Epstein wrote in 2011, Donald Trump spent hours at my house with a victim. He referred to Trump being at his house as the dog that hasn't barked. He said in 2019, Trump knew about the girls. Now,
that was the same one. There's a few other instances. Let me see here. Is this another one? 5 hours ago.
She looked like the most eloquent woman in history. What are you talking about? Have you heard Donald Trump rant about shark attacks, about the size of Arnold Palmer's penis, about toilet flushing? AOC's never said anything like that. Donald Trump, hold on, I haven't finished. Donald Trump went to Davos, Piers. Did you play the clip? Did you play the clip in the interest of fairness and intellectual honesty, to quote you, did you play the clip of Donald Trump in Davos calling Greenland Iceland again and again and again? He went to Davos and embarrassed himself, calling it Iceland. And by the way, worse than calling it Iceland, he wants to invade Greenland. No Democrat has ever suggested anything as mad as going to war with Denmark as Donald Trump. So please don't come here and talk about gibberish and intellectual honesty. Your pal is the most deranged person to ever get close to any top office anywhere in the West.
And I'm pretty sure that was actually once said by Piers Morgan, right? Piers Morgan, after January 6th, said that Donald Trump was unfit for office. He was completely insane, along those lines of, I can never support him ever again, along the lines of what Lindsey Graham was saying, right? But even more, he went even further in it. And now I don't know if this is the clip, but Mehdi calls him out on the same thing. And that's where he kind of turns tail and it's like, well, you can't answer I'm not going to answer any questions on my own show. This isn't a debate; it's an interview. But again, no, it's a debate. You invited Mehdi on to debate the facts, to debate the fucking the topics of the moment. So don't pull this like, oh, it's an interview now type of bullshit, which he does.
Do you know what? I haven't heard such a strident piece of apology since Comical Ali in the Iraq War, when he was trying to explain why the Americans
everything I said was true, and you can't.
And again, Pierce, Mehdi's 100% right. I mean, you can call it apology, you can call it fucking Trump derangement syndrome, which is absolutely on the other side, all you want. But try to dispute anything that he just said. You can't.
Dispute a word of it. Did you play
the
Donald
Americans
Trump's
are
clip
not
at
coming?
Davos? Did you play on this show?
The Americans
Piers,
are not
on this show. On this
let me
show,
answer.
Piers, did you
let me
play
answer.
a clip of your pal
let me
Donald
answer.
Trump
Mehdi,
saying Greenland
Mehdi,
is Iceland?
Mehdi,
Yes or no?
Mehdi, yes, multiple times.
Bullshit.
And more than that, I interviewed the Prime Minister. Wait a minute. Yes, and more than that, I interviewed the Prime Minister of Greenland as well. Did you?
So
what does that have to do with
So
calling
what's that
out
got to do
Donald
with it?
Trump? What does that have to do with playing and showing the incompetency in the fucking, the way that Donald Trump's brain's literally leaking out of his ears at this moment in time, right? Like you can tell that he's not cognitively there anymore. Did you call that part out, or did you just happen to show the clip, not speak about it, and just move on? Did you question the leader of Greenland about how he called it Iceland 5 times or 7 times or whatever it was? Because I don't think you did. I don't remember that happening, and I'm pretty sure all of your clips get posted. I think people would have recognized that and called that one out.
The fact that you have run cover for Donald Trump. Piers, do you agree? Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, nuts, deranged, and mentally unfit for office? Do you agree with that?
Awkward laugh because he doesn't know what to do, right? This is the reaction of a man that knows he's caught between a rock and a fucking hard place right here, because this is, I believe those are the exact words that he said about Donald Trump after January 6th, right? Which has got to be recognized by Pierce. But right now, he definitely wants to say yes. But he knows he can't say yes because of not only the people watching his show, but because of the shit that he said and the excuses that he's given Donald Trump in the past. So this is him laughing at chuckling it up like Howard Lutnick in a fucking, like an Epstein question, right? Trying to buy himself some time to figure out what he can do. And what he lands on is this is my show, I don't have to answer any questions bullshit. Listen.
Why do you do this? Why don't you just,
agree he's mad
why don't you
enough?
just say, Mehdi?
I mean, it's a simple question, Piers. People are watching. Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, deranged,
it's not your show,
and unfit for office? Because
it's not your show. It's not your show to answer me questions. It's not.
Words, Piers. Those are your words.
When I come on your show,
your words.
When I come on your show,
you call Donald Trump deranged.
See what Mehdi did? Those are your words. He's using Pierce's own words against him. And he can't even confirm that he said that, and he can't even say it right now when we're in an even worse situation than we were when he first said these things.
When I know.
I love it. Mehdi got it pretty good in this one. So there was a couple clips in that I wanted to show, but unfortunately we have kind of run out of time. I'm going to save these last 2 things because I don't like flying through any of these and not kind of giving them the due diligence that the attention that they deserve. So there was a couple things we missed out on today. An update from Ukraine here, obviously from the front lines. We've been speaking about that. So I'll leave this to, what's today, Friday? I'll leave it till Sunday's show. And then in case anything happens from now until then, we can incorporate that into our podcast as well. So again, not to kind of fly through these things and of course give it the attention that it deserves. A lot of good things coming, a lot of good reports coming from the Ukrainian side, a lot of negative aspects, a lot of negative reports coming from the Russian side, especially in the Zaporizhia and the Dnipropetrovsk, am I saying that right, area? I think I'm saying that completely wrong, and I apologize. Totally butchered that one. But yeah, so in the southeastern area of Ukraine, there are definitely some positive aspects that we need to continue to cover along the lines of also Telegram, along the lines of the Starlink being taken away as well. So I appreciate you guys. We'll make sure to incorporate that into the next show so we don't miss out on what's going on there. But let me see if I can dive into thanking everybody that may have sent in $1 or $2 over on Venmo. And then we can thank all of the fantastic people here on YouTube that were helping out I appreciate you guys. Thank you again to everybody on Facebook. Thank you for sticking with me yesterday. Obviously, everybody on Twitch for the hype trains, for the bits, for just watching over there and supporting on all of these platforms. I really do thank you guys. Thank you to everybody on Instagram that watches. Thank you to everybody that signed up to my Substack, which is 100% free. Thank you to everybody that follows me on Threads, on Facebook, all of the platforms. I really do appreciate it. First today is going to be Chris on YouTube. Thank you. I mean, Chris on Venmo. Thank you, Chris. You help Ukraine, so I will help you when I can. Slava Ukraine, he says, Chris. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Very, very welcome contribution from you. Who else we got here? We also got M.R. Ducharmy. Sorry if I'm getting that one wrong, but for keeping me informed and laughing on YouTube, take care. Thank you so much for that. Very much appreciate the kind contributions over there. All of this is really, really beneficial and helpful to supporting the channel, to making sure that we can keep up with the upkeep on, microphones and lights and equipment, and obviously keeping food in our mouths and making sure that we can, pay the rent would be great at some point. But who knows? Let's see here. So thank you to you guys over there on Venmo. Everybody from the last couple days: Roxanne, Damon, Leslie, Allison, Garrett, Nancy. You guys have all been fantastic. Thank you so much, Jenny Faye, as well. Thank you, Mark. I see you just sending one in there. Thank you, Mark P. Mark says, thanks for the birthday love, Brian. Mark P. Well, that's just totally the opposite of what should be going on. You don't be sending me money to thank me for your birthday. For crying out loud. That's back-asswards if I've ever seen it, but I do appreciate it, Mark, and happy birthday, brother. Thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate both you and Elizabeth and everything that you've done along the way. All your help, modding and everything above and beyond that is really been helpful. So I appreciate the support, and happy birthday once again, dude. I hope you have a wonderful day, great week, as always, but that's just kind of back-asswards at that. I mean, come on. I'm going to have to send that one back at least. Jeez, I'm going to look like a dick. I'm kidding, Mark. I appreciate you, brother. And thank you, everybody else that's been kind enough to send over Venmo. Venmo is right here. All you got to do is stick up your camera, take a picture of the QR code, takes you right to the Venmo, send $1 or $2. That's all I ask. Anything above and beyond that's 100% up to you guys. I know a lot of people are in a financial situation that is, dark and devious at this point. I am right there with you. Let me just say, right there with you. So again, I feel your pain. All I ask is for $1 or $2. If you find some, educational purposes in this, if you find some information, if you find some, like it's killing time in your day to just help you along, you find some good people in the chat, whatever it is. If you find some some benefit in it, please reach out if you can. So, Deb, thank you so much for starting it off today. I got to put on a timeout and agenda-free TV because his lunacy about the tariffs. Maybe I needed the timeout. I am revolted by him, obviously talking about Donald Trump's press conference this morning, stomping his feet and talking about how he basically won the ruling. Even though he lost the ruling, it actually gave him more power. So, again, try to make sense out of that, but that's what he said. So I appreciate you, Deb. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yakov, as well. Blunt Politics, #1 pod in the world, my opinion. You have to add that opinion. You might have got sued there. That might have been a suable offense if you didn't add my opinion. I'm pretty sure the #1 pod in the world might have come after you, Yakov. So I appreciate you adding my opinion in there. But hopefully one day, maybe someday, we'll be able to get up there in the tops of the list, the people that I listen to. So thank you so much. We're trying. We really are. We're trying to get to 20,000. We're trying to get some more access and sway and, make sure we can get our opinions out there to more places and more spots and more people. And it's only with the help and your contributions and you guys sharing the show out that's going to happen. So thank you guys. I do appreciate it. I'm trying to get into some rhythm where we could do the show and then put out some videos and shorts at the end of it at like a scheduled routine, but it's difficult. It's not easy to do everything by yourself on the show at this point, as far as it's concerned. So thank you, Yakov. I appreciate it. Thank you, Colleen, for this incredibly generous 50. Thank you so much. Every day you are alive in this insanity is a birthday or a celebration. And ain't that the fucking truth, Colleen? Ain't that the truth? Yeah, everybody, it's a blessed moment every time you open your eyes in the morning. So thank you, Colleen, for the contributions. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Peter. Clearly an unconstitutional move on DJT's part. Only got 6 and 9 SCOTUS votes. Seems like a continued problem. Yeah, Pete. I mean, I don't think it takes, like I said earlier, a constitutional scholar to figure out why the ruling went against him. But they're going to try to cry and maybe try to take some power out of this where obviously it doesn't give them. So we got to be wary of that and be watching what they try to do next, Peter. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you, Greg. Hooked on phonics work for me. You read good paragraphs, Greg. I'm sure you read good paragraphs. But thank you, brother, for the 2. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you, Colleen, again. You're just incredible. You are just incredible. 10 gifted memberships there. Please thank Colleen for the 10 gifted there. Anybody that received one or anybody that's just in the chat, because that goes a long way. We're trying to get to 1,000 members. It keeps going up and down and up and down. Eventually, we'll get there, and it's only with your help that we will. So I appreciate you. Thank you, Colleen, so much. Thank you, Jordan, as always, for your contributions, my man. Always love seeing you in here. I knew Trump was going to play the UFO card, called it last year. Seems like a lot of people did. Seems like, Jordan, you were one of a lot of people that seemed like, again, there was just no ends in which Donald Trump would go and trying to distract people from his involvement in the Epstein files. We played earlier. I think we showed. Did I show this? Yeah, I still have it up here. This one. So to go along with your comment, this is, and it says, this article is more than 6 months old. Seth Meyers, we're just one Epstein story away from Trump announcing the UFOs are real. Again, spot on. So Jordan, Seth Meyers, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the chat knew this was coming. And you were proven right by Donald Trump's fucking Truth Social post. So I appreciate you, Jordan. Thank you so much. Fair income. Let's see here. Peter's back at it. Peter says he was the UK trade representative selling secrets. Talking about Mandelson. Is that Mandelson? My apologies. Sometimes I know what we're talking about. Sometimes I have to kind of recall. So, Peter, appreciate the 2. I believe that's where we were going on that. If so, I do appreciate you for making us all aware. Thank you, Patrick, for being here for 22 months. Let's fucking go. Keep up the great work, Brian and mods. Let's go. And again, that work is only, because you guys appreciate it. Like it continues to feed my drive and continues to make me sift through all of these difficult topics and all of this nonsense and bullshit, because you guys are so active and involved and care so much that it continuously gives me the energy to keep doing it. So, Patrick, thank you so much. All of the people that have signed up for memberships, all of the people over on patreon.com, signed up at any level, anybody that gives in a super chat or a super sticker, anybody that shares or subscribes to the show, even if you just hit that thumbs up, you guys are doing a huge part, and it goes a long way to help the show. So appreciate you, Patrick. Thank you, Jordan. Again, I understand Nutlick's sons stand to make millions because they have been purchasing tariff refund rights from businesses akin to buying bad debts at a discount rate and then collecting at full price. So what did they short it? So clearly, one would assume that would have to come with insider knowledge, insider information, Jordan, right? Because what other way would they know that the SCOTUS, well, again, let me think about that, because anybody with a fucking brain cell clicking around between their noggin could see that this ruling wasn't going to go their way. But as to what's going to happen with the debts and with the money, I'm not sure, or how long that's going to take. So again, one would have to assume that only comes with some insider knowledge, some insider information. The same way, Jordan, that Don Jr. is affiliated with multiple companies that are receiving defense contracts from the Pentagon, even though he has no knowledge or past or prior fucking careers in that arena on those topics in that situation, right? I mean, there's been a multitude of different companies that they've been associated with and affiliated with, getting millions and making millions out the back ends because of something that the government is doing. So I wouldn't put it past this government, obviously. So Jordan, thank you, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for the 10, the Aussie 10. Thank you so much. I don't know what the fuck that was. It definitely wasn't an Australian accent. I don't know. I try sometimes. Sometimes I can nail it, typically when the camera's off and when I'm not trying to do it for people. But as soon as somebody's like, hey, do this or do that, I lose it. I blank and I can't do it. So sorry about that. That was my fault. But thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Slacks, as well. Chump couldn't read a pair of graphs, much less paragraphs. Absolutely. As was seen by the Axios interview with Jonathan Swan. Was that the guy's name? Jonathan Swan, I think? Where he's holding the graph upside down. Still one of the best interviews, I think. Still, like, if I was an active journalist or an active reporter right now in the White House press pool, or had some sort of access to the president, was given the ability to interview him, that's how I would conduct the interview. Like, that's the facial expressions, the questions, treating him like a moron, calling him out for not reading the graphs right, where he flubbed up. Like, that's how you want to do an interview with Donald Trump. So again, credit where credit is due. Thank you, Slacks, for reminding me of that. And thank you for your continued support, brother. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Just Saying, for the 5 gifted memberships. Again, make sure we're reaching out to these fine and fabulous contributors to the show for what they're doing and how much they help. So Just Saying, thank you so much, beautiful. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Wes. What's going on, Wes? What's up, brother? Hope you're well, my friend. Android, Jackson, even. Bobby might be richer than I am, but I've got me to give enough much more than I already do. I pray for you daily. I'm still trying to put my head around Boston. I cry for liberty. Wes, you keep me on my toes, man. I got to say. I wake up every day not knowing what I'm going to get from Wes, and I appreciate every single day. I do. I appreciate you praying for me. Thank you so much. Don't cry for liberty. Cry for Argentina. Right? I think that's what she said. I'm not sure. But thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure what you're trying to get your head around as far as Boston is concerned, but there's a lot to fucking get around. I know that much. So thank you, Wes. Hope you're having a good day, my friend. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you, JD, for the profanity bonus. Thank you for the 10. As always, big part of the community here. Can't thank you enough. Thank you, Tomas. What's up, Tomas? Rounding it out today in the chat. Not in chat often. Not in chat as often as I want, but still parking. Well, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for parking there in our good old membership community. 2 years, my dude. 2 years. That is some fucking loyalty right there. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you. You are recognized. You are appreciated. And thank you, everybody else, for your kind contributions to the channel. Everybody that sends a Venmo. Like I said, if you signed up for a YouTube membership, if you signed up a Patreon, it all goes a long way to help. So, all right. I will let you guys go. Make sure you support another fine and fabulous independent creators. Again, if we give you the most bang for your buck here, think about contributing to the show. It goes a long way, and it's we don't give you any ads. We don't sell you anything. There are no products that I'm made to push. I have nobody behind the scenes telling me what to say or how to say it. And again, that's only because you guys contribute to the show, and everybody is, you guys are the financial backers. That's the only way we're going to continue to do that. So please, if you can, think about throwing in a buck or two. So, all right, I'll see you guys Sunday for the main show. Really do appreciate you guys. Thank you as always. Is that another one, Jordan? Again, I'm a New Zealander? Fuck me. What the fuck, mate? Doesn't that what's the New Zealand money? What's that all about? What's the A? I've been getting that wrong the whole time, and you just now corrected me? What a fucking arsehole I am. Good Lord. Why am I getting this? $1. What is it, though? What's it called? It's just a New Zealand dollar in New Zealand. So are you in Australia? I'm all fucking confused. Are you in Australia or not? Where are you? Where you be? I'm all fucking confused now. An A? Why is the A a New Zealand dollar? Oh, no, you're just answering the question I asked. All right, Chris, I got you. My apologies. My apologies. You're just answering the question. I'm assuming you're a New Zealander in Australia, unless I am just completely off. But yes, we do love the Kiwis. We do love the Kiwis. Oh, okay. Gotcha. He says, I live in Sydney. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Makes sense now. My apologies. I was just kind of assuming through the monetary value, through the monetary money you were coming in, that was coming in where you were stationed and what you were. So my apologies, but we do. Much respect to the Kiwis. Much love. Were you the one that I was asking earlier on in the year if you watched AB Camping on YouTube at all? You guys know AB Camping? He's the guy I always speak about a lot, where he goes camping with his dogs. He's in New Zealand, always goes to beautiful areas in New Zealand to go wild camping, or he goes in like a big fucking tent, and it's kind of like glamping. Like he takes he's got everything that he needs. He's got generators. He's got, he's cooking up burgers and steaks and shit out in the wilderness and shit. It's pretty fucking cool. But he goes with his 2 border collies. He's had a couple dogs pass. A couple emergencies with the dogs, but Bruce was the original dog that I saw when I first started watching him. Unfortunately, he passed, and then he got another one, Bruno. Bruno ended up having an emergency again, and then he's got now Bali and Bernie, if I'm not mistaken. But he's pretty cool. If you haven't checked him out, you'd probably love him. Give you a little taste of home back in New Zealand, Jordan. But thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you Sunday as always. Thank you, Pops. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you to the best chat in the world, which is the Bryantologist community here. So shout out to the Church of Bryantology. Shout out to the Bryantologists. Thank you to all the mods. I'll see you guys Sunday, all right? I appreciate it. And yes, still the information on the exit, all this outro info is wrong and incorrect, so don't pay attention. Just jam out to the music. Just jam out to the music. That's all I ask you to do. Don't look at the information. All right, it's in here somewhere, I promise. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you, guys. I'll see you Sunday. You know what I should do, actually, before I let you guys go, real quick. Before I let you guys go, my apologies. My apologies. I'll even leave you guys up there on the screen. But just before we go, since I won't be here tomorrow, we should take a dip into this and look at this real quick. Just so I can, again, show you guys how much you guys have been working, how much you guys influence, and how much you guys can help. We're now all the way up to 62% of our way in our NAFO campaign with Help 99 and the boys over at the 69 Sniffing Brigade to get a truck over there to the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade. We're trying to raise €20,500, which is somewhere in the line of $23,000. We've now raised €12,881.88. Cents. What's the denomination for the cents over there on the euro? What are they called? But yeah, I just want to say thank you for you guys for all the help and sharing this out. And if you contributed directly, then obviously thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're trying to get obviously all the way to 100%, but again, 117 donations in a month to raise over, what is basically the equivalent of say $15,000 here is pretty substantial for us for a channel of this size. So I just wanted to make sure to recognize and to highlight and to point you guys in the direction. If you guys could share this out, it would be really great. I see the mods in there kind of sharing the link to it. So again, if you can't contribute directly to yourselves, by yourselves, please share it out on any of the social media platforms that you guys frequent. And that would go a long way in maybe, catching the right eye, catching the eye of the right guy that maybe has a couple bucks in his pocket. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I want to make sure to continuously highlight this and the work that you guys do all around the world, not just here in our own country. So, all right, I appreciate you guys. I'm out. I'll see you. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Make sure you're keeping your head on a swivel out there. Make sure you stay safe. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blood Politics. And I'll see you guys Sunday. Talking about the State of the Union on Sunday, guys. In there talking about not showing up at all. We will be discussing the State of the Union and what the Democrats should and should not do. So that'll be on Tuesday. Obviously, the State of the Union. Sunday, we'll be discussing basically the reaction to that. What Jeff says he will not do. Happy birthday, Andrew Knock.
God bless the United States. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Dragon. I gotta get Phil back on the show, man. I feel like I've been trying. I know he's putting a lot out there, and I know they're feeling this a lot.
calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
Here you got a little chubby going there.
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
The big, fat, sloppy